NECA superchargers. They only produced them in one size. It was 215 40 17s.
Yeah.
And they were the best tire ever. It seemed like the stands were dead, which is wild because like when Adam hosts like the LZ World Tour or like the LZ Invitational and stuff like that, he hosted there in previous years. They were breaking the attendance records for when Formula Drift was there.
Beating Formula
Everything.
Drift.
That was something we dealt with like some of the smaller drift series and stuff, like even like the Pro-Am stuff back in the day. And that was like, if you're not getting paid out, you will completely get burned.
I hate C4s, but I love that car.
You love it or you hate it. But like just driving that car around the compound, I was test driving, I'm like, I feel like badass. Really quick too, because it was just like, oh, the woods are on fire. Oh, well, the woods across the street are on fire. Oh, the property is on fire. Okay,
I show up to work early every morning to f people.
Gotta stay fresh like a brand new whip. That new smell, switching it up, two step. They try to text, leaving my race.
Now, before we get into this podcast, like I said last week, we have a very special giveaway for you guys. Thank you to Bridgemoto. And they wanted to hook you guys up with a ton of free stuff. So let's get into what you guys are getting and how you can enter. So to start it off, basically there's going to be 4 different winners. That way not just one person is winning everything. So the 3rd and 4th place winners will be getting a pair of the seatbelt strap or harness straps, however you want to call it. Now the 3rd place winner will get to choose between either the blue and gold or the all black, and then the 4th place winner will get whichever one is left. And on to the 2nd place winner, you will be getting one of the special edition Furry Kai black, pink, and gold seatbelt straps, harness straps, whatever you want to call it again. Along with, you'll be getting the pink toe strap to match with the seatbelt straps, which if you drift, these have probably saved you in numerous occasions. And then we have a Furry Kai t-shirt for you. And if you want to see what it looks like, it's literally the one I have on. It's got the Furry Kai logo on the front and all down the back. And then of course, 1st place winner is the grand prize, which will get not only the Furry Kai hoodie, which is relatively the same logo design. It's got the Furry Kai on the back of it as well. And then you will get a pair of the special edition red and gold seatbelt straps, harness straps, again, whatever you want to call it. On top of that, you will get your red toe strap to match it all together. And then for the biggest part of the giveaway, you will be getting the special edition red and gold Furry Kai Bridgemoto steering wheel. This thing is absolutely insane. It's super good quality, and you can't lie, these colors have always looked good on almost any car. If you want your chance at winning this special edition Furry Kai steering wheel along with all of these other goodies, it's gonna be extremely simple to enter this giveaway. All you simply have to do is subscribe to not only the Circle of Drift podcast, but Bridgemoto here on YouTube as well. And then you need to go down to Instagram, which I will leave in the description, and follow along on Bridgemoto's Instagram account. These winners will be picked completely at random. If you are not following all 3 of these accounts, then you will be ineligible to win any of the giveaway. So make sure you are doing that because you do not want to miss out, especially on this steering wheel. And of course, if any of you guys want to go ahead and get some of these yourself by just purchasing from Bridgemoto, I will leave the link to their website in the description as well. I'm really trying to get to 15,000 subscribers here on YouTube, so go ahead, please join this giveaway so that we can reach our goals and give away even more stuff to you guys in the future. So thank you again, Bridgemoto, for hooking up this awesome giveaway. We really appreciate you. Now let's get straight into that podcast. Welcome back to the #1 Drift podcast on YouTube. I am Dawson, and this is...
Hi,
I'll just introduce you.
Dustin with Dustin Motors.
I'm Cricket with Drift HQ.
I'm Chris with Drift HQ.
Cool. All right. So we are actually here for the 4th of July event. Do y'all want to kind of run through what's going on
Dustin's
with
got
that?
a whole pamphlet to go through with you.
Yeah.
Oh, he's got the whole work.
Yeah, so it's going to be at the club AMP.
Atlanta Motorsports Park.
Yeah, Atlanta Motorsports Park. It goes by AMP or AMP. So we got to talk and hang out with guys over there, but it's a country club like no other. Literally, if you want me to read real quick, AMP is the first green sustainable motorsports country club of its kind for performance cars, motorsports, and karts.
I mean, the grass does look like a
The grass looks amazing.
It
First off,
does
it's the
not
best
allow
ground
drift
keeping.
cars except for on 4th of July when they drop the noise ordinance in the town.
Just for us.
So
That's why it's on the 4th.
Yeah.
that's why it's on the 4th of July. So they
That's cool.
have a noise ordinance and they have actual meters all around the track
Yeah.
that check the decibels of your race car.
And when you're in the
And if you're
I didn't
over,
even know
they'll
that.
black flag you and kick you out of the track.
Which I think is not true at all, because last time, like when we were here and they were setting up a few of their test trial cars, way louder than most of the stuff that we're running.
Yeah.
I mean, given you have less like tire screeching and like, you know, revving over and stuff like that.
But they're probably going. They're
all
probably
the
going
LS guys.
extra though. If you think about
Right.
it, like it's not. It's on the 4th of July. They know they can
Right.
go a little bit extra.
Well, we get to go a little
Yeah.
bit later too, because I think noise ordinance kicks in at a certain, you know, time, because there's a lot of houses nearby. It's a beautiful city that the whole thing's in. Like everything around
Yeah,
it is
It's very
nice.
quiet.
Yeah. Well, Sean's the guy that we were talking to
Sean
on top.
he runs AM.
He helps run AMP, and he was telling me, he's like, it's not always the noise of the engine or the car itself. It's the what actually carries and the sound that carries. And so even though there's the trees that break it up and all that kind of stuff, he's like, unfortunately, we were given this. Racetracks are under attack no matter what, you know, and he's like, these are the steps that we've done to try to make it allowed, but we only get to break the noise ordinance once a year during 4th of July when the noise ordinance is lifted because of fireworks.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Well, you think about like every like fancy neighborhood
More
you
you
drive
know.
by on the highway, they have those big berms and stuff that they build right next to the highway to try
Or
and
the
knock
big
all the noise
cement
down. So like
walls
you can
and
only do so
Gotcha.
much because the track has so many elevation changes, and the woods can only do so much.
How about you just don't move next to a racetrack?
I mean,
That'd be
that's
great, right?
that is the life and
Awesome.
death of every racetrack in the United
Yeah.
States.
They build them out in the
Sadly,
middle of
yeah.
nowhere, and people buy the land because it's out in the middle of nowhere and
Yeah.
it's cheap.
Well-
I can develop it, and then I develop it, and I build all these houses.
Yep,
and then
the
Karen
city
comes in, and she wants to, you know.
So in the Panther,
Do the things.
though, I do want to say this is one of the most beautiful tracks that I've ever been to.
Absolutely.
They have a pool.
yeah.
They have a pool
with a
slide.
No
With a
way.
slide.
With a slide.
Actually, I've
With a
heard
slide.
about that, yeah,
He
yeah.
broke my foot last
Broke
year.
his foot last year.
It's still broken.
Still broken because he doesn't know how to get off of it. But this is a European circuit. Like it's the elevations, the way that they've designed it. One of F1's best course creators, which I wish I could remember the name of right now.
They also do go-karts.
They do go-karts,
They do
which I would.
go-karts,
Oh,
which
he just told me a cool story
anyone
about.
can do it. 55 mile an hour plus go-karts.
Yeah, like downhill blind
heck?
turns, like it's
Yeah.
wily out
It's
there. Like
cool.
they run them sometimes like in the middle of the day, and you can just see them.
Adam
whipping
and
down the hill.
Chelsea drifted it last year.
Yeah, they
right?
actually let them.
They let
drift
them
the
drift
track.
different cars, and then
No
you
way.
saw the carts going the whole time. They actually was telling me because it's a European car. The F1 guy designed it. He also designed that kart course as well. It is the best one on SETA. It isn't even close on plays. Like it's literally like a million off from the second place karting track. So
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
one of the best karting tracks in the world. They have drivers that have gone on there from 5 to 6 that started there that are now racing on the regular one and wiping the floor with everybody.
Yeah. It is the
dope
peak
track.
of like learning experiences right there.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just like with the drifting too. Like the track has such a wild dynamic. Like it's not for your like your run of the mill like entry level. Like I'm just learning how to drive kind of drifter. Like you got to be somewhat
You're clicking
seasoned,
third, clicking
and you got to be throwing a little bit of horsepower out there to actually get it. Otherwise, you're gonna be driving the hell out
So
of your car.
probably
Just trying
like-
to keep it going.
What, 300-400 plus?
300-400. I mean, we've got some guys like, you know, some stock DEs and stuff, 350Zs and stuff get out there and be able to put through. But I'm talking like 80 PSI tire pressure, just barreling down the hill. Like just like you're running such a shallow angle because it is like a long turn to be able to push them through. And I mean, you run the limits of what your car is capable of.
To link it, it's almost impossible without.
Yeah.
Well, Angle Kit almost makes it worse because it wants to be driven on angle,
Right.
And then you're like
Until-
trying to moon pie it, and you're like, "Please give me 10%," and it's like 70. Whoa!
You get it all, baby.
Luckily, Chris is doing tech, so he'll tell you, look at your engine, like, what are you running for PSI and then
I'm gonna bump those numbers up. Those are rookie numbers,
45?
buddy.
Like, yeah, those are rookie numbers. Those are
We
rookie
actually
numbers.
have
Bump those up. Bump those up.
You want to click third, you're going to need at least 70, 80 PSI.
Yeah, we have a guy actually up here from the Dominican Republic, one of our buddies down there, who's renting one of the Drift HQ rentals, which is the LS3 E46. And he was asking me all kinds of stuff. He's like, how's the car set up for grip? How's the car set up for that? Like, you know, I haven't driven a track like this before because obviously in the Dominican Republic, most of their tracks are relatively small. Yeah. And I was like, start the car. I mean, given it is like, you know, 450 horsepower LS3, like it's a healthy car.
Texas
like it
motor
runs
speed.
Texas speed motor. And I was like, start it off at like 40 and then just work your way down and get some grip into the car. But to be able to like get comfortable and kind of float the track around a little bit and like find your gearing and stuff at least, then at least you'll have some kind of feel for it before you know, get too involved with it.
You got rowdy. there.
Yeah, yeah.
You got
Sorry.
rowdy.
Good.
No, you're
I talk with my
Aggressive.
hands.
He's very German.
What do we do with our hands? What do we do with our hands? What do we do with our hands?
Well, tell me about y'all's personal cars. What do you drive?
Their cars are way cooler than mine. Start with theirs. Start with their cars. They're way cooler than mine.
His car is way cooler than everyone else.
That's why I said start with the best and go down. Right?
I have a tendency.
Yeah, all of
Mine
them.
doesn't run.
Okay.
Yeah. Same.
Should let me talk about your car because he's the
tune.
Well, I have a tendency to build really cool cars for myself and then just never drive them and sell them.
shortchange him.
So I try to
One
put
of
stuff
those
together
guys.
for myself because I spend literally all of my days building cars. Like that's what we do professionally for
Yeah,
Drift HQ, like for a living. So at the end of the day, like you have very little motivation to work on your own
shit.
projects and stuff like
or
that.
do anything over and above.
Right, and we always have a tendency to overdo everything, and he's a really bad hype man when it comes to stuff like that. So
Just
like,
do it. Just do it. 110%.
I had an E36 I just sold a few months ago. That was like it was a just 6.0 iron block in it, ZF trans.
Hold on.
And then it was just going to be
Rewind. Bring it up. There was way more than that.
No, wait, I'm getting to it.
He's getting to it. Let him get to it. Let him get to it.
I'm getting to it here, okay? Like, so the car was just like supposed to be very simple. Like, I'm gonna put a cage in it, the LS with the ZF trans, and just go run the car.
Yeah.
And then like the engine was really pretty, the cage was really pretty. We painted the interior, and it was just like, well, you can't just put the car out like that. It's like you should at least wrap it. And it was like, yeah, okay, we could wrap it because we do it ourselves. I'm not gonna pay somebody for paint. We just buy the wrap. It's like,
snowball at
well,
all.
if you're gonna wrap it,
paint
then you
it
should definitely put a body
Paint
cut. You
it.
should wide body it and do something cool. And it's like, yeah, wide body. It's like, well, if you wide body, you got to buy some sweet wheels for it too. And it's just like, what could have been like a 1 year project turned into 4 years of just snowballing into this like way over the top build that like I had the intentions of street driving. Given in Florida, you can street drive anything.
Yeah, we love the laws.
But it was just
none of them.
No doors.
Right,
No doors. No cares.
But it was just a belligerent car to be trying to drive on the street.
So
Neighbors
cool looking
hated
though.
me. And yeah, it
It
was
looked
sweet.
so cool. We had the same
Just an
car.
inconvenience at that.
It
point.
was
the same color
inconvenient.
car,
So like I
like we were
literally drove 2
bros,
events
you know?
with it, sold
Yeah,
it,
yeah.
and then it was just like, and again because we're always working the events, very rarely would get the opportunities to drive ourselves.
Never.
But also our cars are never like up to par like everybody else's cars is. So like I don't want to go to an event like where I rarely get to drive and then be stuck working on my car the whole time. They have the
You
luxury.
can't work on your car.
They-
all the time.
Well,
They?
no, the bosses have the luxury that when they go to the track, they pay us to, take care of their cars and stuff like that.
yeah.
So it's easy. Something goes wrong, okay, take care of it. Like if you're the one driving, doing tires, doing fuel, and working on your own car, like which is given most of the drift community and stuff
90%,
like that.
of
Like
course.
not everybody has that opportunity, but it makes it so much more fun because like if there is an issue, when you get back to the car, everything's going to be solved. But like if I'm working on a car that I rarely ever get to shake down and figure out what's wrong with it, like the first event I took it to, the car was overheating on grid. I'm like 210 degrees, just sitting there idling, trying to go on the track. I'm like, I'm still gonna go.
We're here now.
It's like, yeah, I'm
He says-
next online.
He says 210 like it's a bad thing. Corvettes don't even show anything until 225.
Yeah.
And it's the
Yeah,
Corvette
but those are
motor.
Gen 4 motors though.
Gen
This is a
4
Gen
aluminum
3 iron
block.
block.
It's way different.
This is a Gen 4 iron
Yeah.
block. Like I had
Iron
it with my
pulls that
350Z2 and that thing overheated like crazy because I just drove the balls off that car. Like I beat the shit out of the thing everywhere I
I
drove.
couldn't get
You
my
fucking
DE
did
blow up.
what was it, the
add
RTV
oil.
in the head
Yeah.
for that?
Just out of oil.
Oh yeah,
No,
it
you
was
just consume it before
He blew out
anything
a head
happens.
gasket on
Yeah,
this thing.
sketchy things I did with that car. It was my daily driver, and like I really had no time to work on the car. At that time, I had my own shop and stuff as well. I blew off the last set of tires I had on the car right before I was going to swap it out at the tire shop, like in the back, and I overheated it so bad that where like the steam tube ports come out of the top of the LS heads, like right on the corner of the head gasket there, it just blew out the head gasket.
You told me this story this morning.
Yes. So instead of fixing it like a normal person would, because head gaskets on an LS
RTV.
aren't that bad, I literally loosened the head bolts, put a little piece of gasket paper and RTV in there and torqued it back down. I drove for like another 2 years
fine.
after that. It was
And then
great.
sold it.
And then sold it. Yeah.
And then buy your fucking Q50.
Someone
Yeah,
else's
about a day.
headache at that point.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's not a
shit.
headache, it's holding.
It was
Still
working.
running.
It's still good.
running. It's still running.
Yeah, the
this
guy
day?
took
Yes.
it and he
Oh
drove it up to
my
Tallahassee
God.
from my house, drove it up to Tallahassee. And it was like the sketchiest like startup sequence on this thing. It was like flip this switch, plug in this relay, jump this, and then you can start the car.
He didn't want it stolen.
The complete
okay?
No, it wasn't that.
You
The
gotta
wiring harness was
understand
just an
Lee
absolute
County, like,
nightmare.
people can steal your shit where we're from. You got to have like 3
enough.
kill switches.
But realistically,
There's
the
gotta be,
wiring
like, a
harness was
the
just
whole
an absolute
coordination.
nightmare.
Yeah.
And like when you went to turn the car off, the car didn't turn off. It just kept running. So then you had to unplug that relay, and then it would actually kill the car. We went with some weird like off-collar company to build the wiring harness for me, and I was just like, this is a terrible decision.
It was not worth the
This
$200
was before
we saved.
350Zs had bolt-in.
Yeah, this is before like you could buy
Okay,
off-the-shelf
yeah.
motor mounts
Couldn't
and
do any of
off-the-shelf
that.
headers, and like everything was custom in the car.
This
Like
was also
just trying
before
to-
he did wiring harness.
Yeah, exactly.
Which he does.
And he kills that.
Styrewire.com. Styrewire.com.
Yep.
Styrewire.com.
He does his own
Styrewire.com.
Now listen, I'm gonna plug at least. I'm gonna get you plug right
Tire
now.
wire.
If you send him something and ask for a wiring harness and he sends you a questionnaire and you don't answer it,
Yeah, fill out the questionnaire.
fill out the
Don't
fucking
give me random information.
questionnaire.
Don't ask me for a price without filling out my question.
How much is a wiring harness? Well, what do you have? Do you have 1750 injectors? What kind of cars are going in? What are you doing to blah, 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 blah.
You got to do the same thing on wiring
fucking
special.
Yeah,
answer.
exactly.
That's what shit.
So I literally send you a questionnaire, and then people are like, "Well, I'm just looking for general pricing." I'm like, "Cool, that's what this is for."
Yeah, this will give you a real price.
And then I kid you not, 90% of emails I get about increase or wiring harnesses, that is where the conversation ends. Because most people are just
That's annoying.
window shopping. They're just tapping around and trying to find information about what they're maybe going to build in the future. Like, well, I don't really know. Like, is it going to be a
That's
fuel
what-
cell? Is it a rear mount radiator? Like, incorporating chassis harness stuff
Facebook
into it?
Marketplace
That's
vibe.
Yeah,
Facebook
exactly.
for.
It's the worst.
Yeah.
But we're getting way off track. Now I have a 1J.
There's a lot of cars.
1J E46 that I'm currently putting together. Cricket just did all the fab for me. Just going to be like just a simple car, 400 horsepower 1J, and not go crazy. with
Talk it up.
No, it's not going to be a crazy car. It's not going to be crazy. It's going to be simple.
It's going to be simple.
Cricket, what about your car?
Listen, I'm not doing the fab work unless you get like a good turbo.
Yeah.
What's a good turbo? Well, we sell
I got the
We're sponsored by
G3660 on it, which is basically the same size as the stock turbo, just
And
better.
it's like you don't want the regular manifold. You want like an Artec. Like get an Artec manifold. I'll do all the fab work for you, but it has to be pretty.
Yeah.
So it has to work. So he sold me on the intake manifold, which is better because it has higher flow rates.
Yeah.
Right. Higher flow
Cricket
rates.
just gets sold to do free labor if it's nice. So he's basically making him pay for his
Right,
labor in
and
parts.
then he was all happy about it. And then I was like, I don't want this thing to overheat, so I got this like big ass dual pass CSF MK4 Super radiator. I'm like, hey, it doesn't fit. So it was like we had to like notch the frame rails and build mounts for it to like get it all to fit.
Cricket, this is what I got. It's cool. Don't worry about it. We'll make it
We're
work.
gonna make it fit.
It's gonna be
Cricket's
beautiful.
favorite tool is the plasma cutter. So
Yes.
he
Real
loves
good.
We
trying
also
to-
talked about that at least twice today.
Anyways, I started blasting.
He won't even drill.
So anyways, that came out, I started blasting.
He won't even drill holes anymore. He just uses the plasma cutter for everything. Just
I'm real good
quick.
at circles. Solid circle. You know the thing about circles is if you put a bolt through it, you can't see it's not a circle as long as the bolt fits through it.
That's fair.
got a
Cheat
point.
code. You know, especially the flange bolts. You know,
Yeah,
those
yeah,
are the
just
best.
covers
You
it
just-
all up.
It's real close.
So Cricket,
Or just a
what about your
washer.
car?
Yeah, no, on to
What
Cricket's
about
car.
my car?
What about your car?
You want to?
He's got an E46 wagon and it's sweet.
It's so sweet. Make sure he doesn't sell it. Everybody make sure he doesn't sell his
It's got a
wagon.
330 motor, and anybody wants to buy it, $8,500. Let's go.
Don't be saying the low price. Give him the 10 grand price.
71.
So he was daily driving this thing. He used to be all-wheel drive.
Still daily
yeah,
drive.
Yeah, he was
Yeah,
still
the
daily
shit
drive.
out of it.
So he
Nice.
blew up like three motors.
Three motors.
Three
Come on,
motors. I said three.
motors.
So he blew up like three motors, and
I didn't blow
it
up
was
shit.
an all-wheel drive.
Hold on.
It overheated.
I didn't blow up shit. Broads.
Yeah, fair enough.
I didn't blow up shit.
He overheated the thing a handful of times.
And if you know about BMW motors,
They are an aluminum
can't
block,
tell
and when the
things.
head warps on those M54 blocks, it
Yeah.
actually pulls the threads out of the block.
torque to yield bolts.
So you can't
Yeah.
like just
Torque
pop a
to
head
failure.
gasket on it and everything would
They're
be
called
fine.
torque to failure bolts.
Torque to
brother.
failure
They tear to
bolts.
full.
Yeah.
They are. You get torqued down. You're like, oh, they're good. As soon as they're gone. Wow.
my third motor right
Mint.
now. On my third motor right now. It's a 330
Now he has a
motor.
330 motor that's been faring him well,
It's
and the
doing
car
real good. It
was
eats
all-wheel
a
drive
lot
as
of
well.
oil.
That's
Eats a
a
lot of
big
oil.
factor. It
Yeah,
used to be
it's not-
all-wheel
Who
drive.
doesn't eat a lot of oil?
Yeah, BMWs. It doesn't leak any oil though, so that's a really cool thing
Drive
about a
like safe.
BMW.
That's the plus side.
Eats a lot of oil. So like every time I fill up the gas, it's like half a quart or whatever. You know? The ringlings are worn out. Don't worry
she's
about
thirsty.
it.
She needs some
It's a low compression engine.
nitrous. Nitrous.
No, it needs a supercharger that I got for it.
Oh. Is that going on before or after the
I thought you were
85?
trying to sell it.
I don't know what I'm trying to do.
No. So
The honesty comes
we're
out.
just- the reality of it is
Chris.
we're just trying to push him to get like a reliable daily driver because he drives an hour to work every day. And like after we got rid of all the all-wheel drive stuff, I put a rear-wheel drive 330 pan on a regular crossmember. We
Drives
put an
him
angle
in.
kit on it. We fixed like all the problems because his car was super lowered, so the front axles were like peeking out and just like clacking all over the place and creating all kinds
They
of
blew
problems.
out like within a week.
Yeah,
of
brand new
getting them
axles
back.
blew him out. You can't slam all-wheel drive cars like that. The axle angles were all
No
tweaked
bueno.
I
out.
learned that with
Like
front
here's where the
So
diff is.
now-
and then it goes
Raxel's axles.
Yeah.
So
there you
now
go.
his car is like 99% drift car, but it has air conditioning. It has full like nice interior. He replaced literally like everything on the
Everything.
interior is like brand
So
new.
don't
on
sell it.
So it's super
Don't
clean.
sell that shit.
It,
It's got,
it has
it's got a double din.
But
It's like
anyways.
80, like Fast and
You
the
can watch
Furious.
movies on it.
Watch
You
movies.
can watch
on it.
movies.
I
That's
watch
better.
YouTube because I mean, let's be honest. YouTube videos are way better than watching Pandora.
He has an hour
I
drive to
watch
work track, so he's got to do something.
I gotta do something.
Super safe.
And it's a big screen.
perfect.
Did you see the meme of Dale
even on the
Earnhardt?
screen.
He's like, I'm Dale Earnhardt. I showed it to you earlier. He's like me driving on Facebook Marketplace, watching Facebook Marketplace and TikToks, and you're going 100 miles an hour down the road. You're like, yeah, this is normal.
Dude, that's literally me every morning with Chris sitting on the shitter, like on Facebook Marketplace, like, yo, Cricket, check out this wagon.
Yep.
Cricket, check out this wagon.
Everywhere.
I'm trying to get him an F31 wagon.
7:30 in the morning, I'm driving to work. And I'm
The
like,
new one?
oh,
The F31.
yeah, I know what he's doing. I'm like, yeah, send more.
Yeah.
Okay, so what other cars you got?
I have the wagon, and then I have a E46 that I bought from Chris for $1,000, mind you.
Running, driving, AC, no lights on the dashboard.
shit.
That's a homie deal.
Yeah, that was
no,
I got it for $1,000, so I was just like, let's take it.
Yeah,
he
let me get my
stole
money
it.
back.
He
Yeah.
stole it. So he showed up. The guy's like, "Yeah, it's misfiring." Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
He shows up, looks. It's still $1,000, right? Yeah, it's $1,000.
Yeah, he had the car idling.
He put his finger over a vacuum hose and it started running good. He's like, "All right, I'll take it."
Literally, there's a little plastic tee on the top of the intake pipe on the E46s on the 325s. And it splits off to like the fuel pressure regulator and stuff. And one of those little plastic bits bit off. He's like, yeah, I haven't chased it. They told me it was the battery making it misfire and this and that. I'm like, that ain't it. I was just like, and it was just like cleared
Still
up, nice and
$1,000.
smooth. I'm just like,
So he bought it
Take
for
it.
$1,000.
That's awesome. That's
He
how I got
bought
my
the part.
RX-7.
He bought
I
the
only
part
paid
to
$1,000
fix
for
it,
there you go.
and then he sold it to me for $1,000, and then gave me the part to fix it.
Yeah.
That's a homie right
That's
there.
a win.
And I gave it to my girlfriend for
Primo
Christmas.
deal.
Look, I got a Christmas present for you. Come out here.
Does she know it's $1,000?
Yeah, of course.
Oh, okay, I don't know.
Of course I'm gonna. If you think a girl's gonna like something more than that, she's gonna be slapping you. What
like,
the
you bought this
fuck?
piece of
We
shit?
could have went on a cruise. We could have went to the Bahamas. We could have. You spent more than
For
$1,000.
$1,000.
Yeah. No, I'm saying like if you spent more than $1,000,
I've given a car as a gift before.
It's $1,000, and no one's ever bought her a car, so she got all excited about it.
Nice.
So I got her a Drift HQ Hydro for it. You know, I got
Okay.
some seats for it. I got some interior for
It
it.
helps when she gets
I'm
pulled
gonna
over.
sell that shit and buy it daily.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We're gonna
for sure.
build it.
I'm gonna
Well,
sell her
the other
car,
thing, like I
and then I'm
said,
gonna give her my car because I already
The
gave it to her.
wagon
Oh,
is ready
there you
to
go.
drift. All he has to do is weld the diff and take it to the track. It's good to go. That's why I'm just like, just
Do
go
that.
buy it daily and then go drift that because he
Yeah.
doesn't go to events and
That would
drive.
be
Like
so cool.
I had a little
Yeah.
seat time E46 sedan and he went out to the track and he was able to rip around, like, you know, drive with everybody and go tandem with the
You
boys
should
and like
see me
have
in
a
the parking
blast.
lots, baby. I can park anywhere I want.
All the
Anywhere I want to.
I want to park
I'm
right
like-
here.
I tell my girlfriend, like, baby, watch this. We're going the wrong way. You can't park like that. Oh, yeah?
All the
Wow, I'm
angles.
telling you, angle kit, open diff, the things you can maneuver that car into is like
First off,
uh,
extravagant.
angle kit super expensive, welded is super cheap. Yeah,
Not
just
super
screws.
expensive. CNC 71, like at drifthq.com, it's $789.
I don't know.
Drift HQ making drifting affordable.
Yeah, CNC 71, and you can daily. And trust me,
Constantly.
Just keep
shameless
pointing at
plug.
the camera.
I drive 100 miles a day. I looked. It's 50 miles each way to the compound and back to my house.
not
I drive
horrible.
100. It's not bad. I
But he's
love
street
it.
driving on the angle kit with like 8 degrees of camber in the front
And
of
your
that
tires
thing.
are holding.
Bro,
I told him I was like, it's about time to flip
It's
those
fine.
front boys.
I pull up to a stoplight and the lady's just waving at me. I roll down my window. She's like, your tire's about to fall off. And I look
fine.
out the window and I crank it all the way to the left.
So you
and
can
her,
see it?
Like her eyes just open
Her
and her
brain
mouth
explodes.
drops. And I'm like,
Just
and then I crank it the other way. Looks good to me. And then drive off.
Poor lady.
she didn't say nothing.
Shit, her mouth was wide open. She didn't know what to do.
She was trying to catch flies.
Yeah. She was literally trying
All
to
right,
catch flies.
have fun
And then she
dying.
like sees my wheel like this, and then it goes out like 70 degrees, and then it goes.
And then it's
70
finally
degrees
straight.
the other way. I'm like, looks good to me. Just drive away.
Heck yeah.
Drift car shit.
Yeah, drift car. I have a 350Z.
He also has a
Okay.
Miata too.
Nice.
He's got a few Miatas.
Few Miatas.
His Tinder profile says he has 10 plus cars.
I
They
do
don't know
have
they're all
10 plus
Miatas.
cars. Half of them are Miatas.
How many run?
All of them.
Oh, no way.
All of my Miatas run.
Run and drive.
Dude,
Run and drive.
bragging
Oh, okay,
rights.
okay.
Well,
Because
so
in
minus
the drift
one.
world, running and running and
Minus
driving
one.
are two different
so
things.
four run,
Four
and the one
registered?
that I have a 500 horsepower on E85. It's 4 something on stock on pump gas.
We're gonna need to see those numbers.
I got them right here, buddy. Bring
them out.
Here, hold on.
Screenshot it.
Hold on. I'll send it right now.
We're gonna need to see those numbers.
No,
Can I
for
get
real,
one
I got
too?
them though. I had the Miata. I bought it because I owned a Lotus Evora. And so I had a Lotus Evora and I was driving that all the way from St. Cloud to Disney property, which
Okay.
is like, if you get a straight line and nobody's in your way, like 30 minutes, it takes an hour every day. And I'm like, I'm not driving a Lotus Evora an hour. So I'm like, let me just get a little stupid car. Miatas are cheap. And then, go down a rabbit hole and you're like, well, I want a boosted one since I want to go fast. And so I bought a boosted Miata and it was a 94. It's a 1.8.
You know what it really is? He loves how many people stop him on the street and like, yo, that thing is sick.
But he's also a very big dude in a little car.
I'm super small. I'm only 6'3".
Hard to miss.
We were coming back from OSW and he came home to hang out with us and drink. And he did like a couple donuts in the fucking Winn-Dixie parking lot.
It almost hit a car.
Hold on. No.
Yes.
None of this happened.
Yeah, baby.
Yes.
No, none of these things happened. It was also taped
Bro.
on with caution tape. I went into an area that was just resurfaced and it had caution tape. So it was a closed course, everybody.
It was in Mexico.
clear side
It was
shows.
in Mexico, Winn-Dixie, and
Yeah, sideshow sucks.
Florida. So like
Just to be
9
clear.
people
Just
like
being
came
dumb.
out chasing him. It was the weirdest shit ever I've ever seen.
So many people love Miatas.
They came out chasing him. I thought he was
Sadly,
going to
it's
get
true.
yelled at or something. And it was like a bunch of teens like following him. Yeah! Screaming out their fucking window.
We're
about
driving
his-
by the road and people are
And they're
like
like-
stopping, dropping babies to wave at me and
It
stuff.
was weird as shit. I'm like, do you know how big of a piece of shit this thing is?
Dude,
Come on.
It's so fun though.
yeah,
It's a
man.
slammed. That was a slammed 1.6 drift car. There used to be a drift car that I turned into a toga car.
If you can make a
Oh,
1.6.
okay.
So I do like
Do a drift car.
Miata's the Gap, and so like I brought my friend. I gave him one of my Miatas to use, and so we both took him up to Miata's the Gap. We're up there for 2 weeks, just chilling. So that's one of the cars.
Hell yeah.
But yeah,
That's cool.
So I got the turbo Miata. I got a whole bunch of little Miatas. I got a lifted Miata on 20 somethings, which is insane. It's yellow. I can show you a photo. Yeah, it's something.
That's cool. I like
Fuck,
lifted
you
shit.
fit 20.
Hold on, I'll show you right now. Well, not
That's
the wheel,
not
like
20
the-
inch wheel,
the
20 inch
tires.
It's like an
What the
off-road
hell?
Miata. He's dropping dubs on
Oh,
that
okay,
shit.
that's tight. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember
That's
the
pretty
pictures.
cool. It's like it's like Bandit.
Yeah.
Ever seen Bandit?
Yeah.
He's cool as shit. He's always at Atlanta.
He's got
Atlanta.
that's the Paco mini kit, and then there's the Paco big kit,
Yeah,
and he has
yeah.
the Paco big kit, which allows a lot of suspension travel. This is literally the suspension goes, and that's it, and it's like the car's just
There's no
it's
rebound.
freaking out. But that one gets more attention than any other Miata I have,
I believe it.
for sure.
There's one guy that was going through like all the
Miata.
series of Corvettes. and he was
Every
lifting them all.
asshole has a lowered Miata. I know them all. They're great guys.
I wasn't going to talk about me Miatas, okay? I was going to tell you guys about my
Great
Z.
guys.
I like my 350Z.
We were at Vibes.
Dude, they've been
There
nonstop
was
talking about
at
bikes.
least
This
20
channel was
Miatas at Vibes.
Just now.
You mean you broke the chair?
I'm not
It's
that
cool. You're
It's literally,
I'm not that fat.
dude, it's
You
literally.
gotta check the welds on that thing or
Dude, the screws
something.
are coming out.
Fade
This
out.
isn't my fault. Let me swap out a chair.
Damn. Fat if you're that fat.
If the other one starts breaking, then
So at Vibes, there was so
You're
many
gonna sit on the floor.
Miatas. And I don't like Miatas personally.
Yeah.
those
I
guys
have a bunch,
party in
I have
those
a bunch of
Miatas.
buddies with them.
Miatas are dope.
They're sick. Like their fucking bumpers dragging ass the whole time. Like they're going around shit. There's like skid marks coming off of it, and they're like tucking up next to each. Bro, I like Miatas. All right.
Hell yeah, he's on the Miata
I
train.
like-
Miata.
Beginner
Hold
cars.
on.
Is always
the first car I had to drift on was a
I don't
Miata.
like your Miata.
Your first
First car I ever learned to drift on, like messing around with my
Lowered.
friends.
The green Miata
Miata.
is lowered. It just doesn't have body
It's
kit.
not lowered enough.
It
There's a
scrapes.
difference. Scrapes.
Just doesn't
what?
have arrow.
It has no arrow.
Arrow makes
I
the
want to
difference.
see that back bumper drag ass. Like
Right behind me. Just
That's
be
good
clear.
at least.
Be
Get
clear.
fucked.
So it's a DE, just to finish the car. It's just a DE. I put the motor
exciting.
in.
The better motor, I would
No,
say.
it's not even. It's still a VQ.
no.
It's better than the rev ups.
Hey,
Hold on, can we talk about it? You want to talk
Hey,
about
HRs
it?
are fast.
You're always
though.
about
They're
that
fast.
controversial
Always
shit.
blow up more.
We
I don't
hate
know.
VQs.
I didn't even put a catch can on my VQ, and I couldn't
We hate
even get it to
VQs.
blow.
I don't have a catch can on mine.
Like I hate the sound of EQs, but I can
Unless they're
appreciate for
stock.
like entry level car, like to get something with like the power to weight ratio of a 350Z and something that'll be a reliable, like good seat time car. Yeah, don't get the rev up, don't get the HR. Just get you the regular old beat
Change the
up
oil
DE,
every
that
event.
160,000 mile DE that's still running. That thing's gonna keep on running.
And pause for a quick. Don't put an exhaust on it.
Yeah.
Keep it stock.
No, seriously. That's serious.
Silence is golden.
on that one.
Do you remember that on the when you used to go to the movie theaters? Like silence is golden, and the
Guys,
everybody's
please silence your phones.
silence is. Put that on this.
Yeah, for real. It's important.
Silence is
Back all
golden.
the 350Zs.
It's important.
Shut the fuck up. Same thing with 318 Ti's. If you
How about you don't straight pipe your drift car?
I hate you.
Don't straight pipe anything.
Unless it's got a turbo,
Unless
maybe.
it's got a turbo, maybe.
Turbos make the best mufflers.
Well, turbo
Yeah.
is a muffler.
Yeah, it is
it
a
moves
muffler.
too.
Yeah.
It moves.
It moves.
variable
it's
muffler.
very cool.
It's a very great
cool.
muffler.
Yeah.
Turbos are
Make
great.
noises.
You don't need a muffler with a turbo.
But Z's are dope. I went from a Miata drifting to a Z. Phenomenal. Super pumped. Built it, made it look good, painted everything myself, did the wide body, the whole thing.
And I talk about this a lot too, where like if you can learn to drive a low angle, low horsepower car, it is very similar to driving a super gripped up high horsepower car. Because like you have to put in so much legwork and fight the car and keep it in drift and stuff like that. That like if you can drive that, you can virtually drive most cars. You know what I mean? Like you can work your way through the paces on something that's super gripped up and high horsepower, given you're doing everything a lot faster. But like you have the dynamic of it.
Be a
you know?
low power hero.
That's the only reason.
low
I
power
didn't
cars are the
drive
way to
smart.
start.
Yeah.
I got
Low
to the
power
point
hero.
where I had my car completely gripped
Yeah.
up. I couldn't go anywhere else.
Our
And you
buddy
also
Ryan
spend a
had
shit ton of money on tires.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Oh my
like my
God.
seat time car, that 325 sedan, like it's literally like an SLR kit, a handbrake, and coilovers with a welded. And that car, I ran all of Spring Break Bash, a
One
3-day
set.
event on one set of tires.
Iron
kept airing down.
Iron Man.
No, those were these weird
Mucho Machos.
No. They were Nika superchargers. They only produced them in one size. It was 215 40 17s.
Yeah.
And they were the best
Yeah,
tire ever.
He was telling me
Guys, you can't get them anymore, but I'm telling you,
super
they are
tire.
the best damn tire I've ever had in my life, and I wish I could still get them.
When did they
Iron
stop
Man.
making them?
I don't even know where they got them from. The guy I bought the car from recommended, and he gave me like 2 sets of wheels with those tires mounted on them, and then I
Yeah.
bought like 2 more sets after that, and then they were just gone off the face of
The
the
company
earth.
disappeared.
The
Damn,
company
that
just
sucks.
shut down, yeah. But I mean,
They
they
were
only
selling
produced
them too
one
cheap is What
size.
happened? They went out of business.
But they only produced one size, so like you only have a very narrow market. But they were my size, and they were.
They were coming
They
from
were
like
my size.
they were coming from like
That's all
North
that
Korea,
matters.
like some random
Probably.
place that just had like no
But those
rules.
things lasted forever, and they just had enough grip, like that little R325. Yeah.
Treadwear Nikos.
There was 200.
FYI, that was his first bullet point.
What?
Yeah,
That was his first bullet point. We've been here for an hour.
That's what I said.
we only got 30 minutes on the timer. But all right, so how
Going
did you
cut.
guys all get involved with Drift HQ?
Drift HQ, originally when we started back in the day, it was basically there's a bunch of people that were interested in drifting, but we had no way to really like get people out there, and like nobody had a garage or anybody they trusted to do anything, and we didn't really have a track to drive. So back in the day, the Immokalee Speedway was just like a little oval track with kind of like a small like
And
a,
3 pumps.
And I'm sorry, yeah, Three Palms.
Three
Three
Palms.
Palms is the one I'm thinking of. It was basically like if you take Cletus's Freedom Factory and you just make it a little bit smaller, it kind of has the same figure 8 layout in the center with like a paved center, and like there was just a shop that a couple of the guys had rented, and then they would let everybody store their cars there. I had another job at the time, and I would come there after hours and just do like general repairs. He was there doing like roll cages, welding diffs, and like doing things just to kind of get everything together. And then from that point, it was just like everybody needed parts. And then Duarte, the boss, he was just like, okay, well, I can get you this and I can get you that. And so he started getting all of these dealer accounts and vendor accounts, and then like
Started going
Over-
to the
Yeah.
swap shops, grabbing parts from everything.
right, yeah,
Like,
started
I need-
taking stuff from the junkyards and like, you know, part outs and stuff like that to put parts onto other cars, just like finding cheaper ways to keep people on the track and make it
a rack.
affordable for
I
them.
need a rack.
Right, yeah, like
a rack.
just to make
I need
things affordable
axles.
for the
I got
people.
axles. I need a diff, whatever. And he would get it for BMWs
Yeah.
or whatever. And
Okay.
then everyone else that you said, like, hang out with us, they have a spot to store their car, work on their car,
Yeah.
do anything. So they had a chance to come in, store their car there, rent lift space.
Yeah, rent tools.
That's cool.
Rent tools.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, people
Everything.
who literally didn't have anything to like support themselves drifting, but they just wanted to get
I wish that
involved
was
with it.
more common.
It'd be
around the country
great.
and
Yeah,
stuff.
that'd be awesome. Like, just to get more and more people like that can get that entry level point to be like, okay, am I good at this, or am I just never going to be able to, actually start
Yeah,
driving?
right.
You know,
Start up
at least you kind of go through like the
GT36.
general paces instead of going on marketplace and buying some turnkey 350Z for like $12,000 just to realize you suck at it and crash the car and then go through all the paces.
$5,000 BMW and crash and figure out you suck.
Right, exactly. But I mean,
Put some time in there.
Oh yeah.
all of this started back.
That's what I try to preach: is go the cheaper route and see
Right,
if
of
you
course.
fucking like it.
I mean, given all this started
Demolish it.
back in 2014, so like back then, it was still achievable to buy like cheap E46s and E36s and like to get into it like relatively inexpensively. And like even Duarte's first car was just like an M3 with an angle kit and some coilovers on it. And,
SLR.
yeah, and just something to get them
Welded
out there. And then like obviously things excelled so much further past then. And like as the dealer accounts and stuff started to go, realizing he had a knack for selling and like how much we got involved with the drift community over the years and stuff like that, it just started to grow up. So like as the business got bigger, I got more and more involved with it. Like I worked for other performance shops in Fort Myers at that time.
Owned your own.
And then after that, I had my own performance shop in Fort Myers for a short period of time, and I had a bunch of issues, business partners, and all that other stuff. But then
Money
down the
gets
road,
handled,
it's
yeah.
just like,
He's a great builder.
yeah, I've realized like I know my strengths.
Bullshit on the side.
Yeah.
I know my
all
strengths.
that.
Like my strengths are
The shit on
turning
the
wrenches.
inside.
Like my problem is like I'm way too nice to everybody. So like when I had my shop, it's just like I'm just trying to help everybody out and do stuff, but that stuff doesn't pay the bills. So like you got to have somebody who's like a cutthroat to run the business and make things happen. So like Duarte was that guy for sure, and like me and him always got along well. Like I always just delivered the work and like whatever he needed done, like I could show up and get it done after hours, whatever. And then after a while, I got so tired because I was working like 3 or 4 jobs. I was a diesel mechanic for the county. I had my shop. I was working for some other random shop, and then I was doing the Drift HQ stuff.
Too.
I was working at the Granite shop as well, like doing all this stuff. I was working myself to death, and I was just like, I'm tired of this. Like I'm gonna quit all this. Like I'm getting out of cars. I'm just gonna go get another job.
Consolidate.
And Duarte was like, no. He was like, I'm just gonna hire you. And you're just going to work at Drift HQ, and that's all you're going to do. Will you do that? And I was just like, yeah, absolutely. And this was like, what, 2020, 2000?
6 years ago, 5 years ago.
5 years ago or
He
something?
roped me into it too.
Yeah, and then Cricket came down to only do one roll cage for some people, and he never left.
Yeah. I was over
Explain
here.
that one.
I was growing stuff, doing stuff for cancer patients, and they're like, you want to come down and do a roll cage? You come down every winter anyways, and you goof off and you go fishing.
Yeah, might as well
I'll
make some
come
money. while
build
you're
a
at
roll
it.
cage.
Yeah.
So I came down to build a roll cage. Never built that roll cage.
No. But this
Never
is like,
built
in the beginning, he was doing all the cages and stuff, and then he went back up to New Hampshire and had his hiatus and stuff while he was up there. And then when he came back down, like after, like you were gone for like a year or two.
Yeah.
And then he came back and then just never left. And just
They wouldn't
kept
let me
working with us.
leave.
Shit. Just made
Don't
it
want,
through.
roped him
I
in
don't
for
want to
sure.
leave.
Yeah.
They wouldn't let me leave, but I don't want to leave.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's
We've been here long. Like, I mean,
great
it's a
environment.
fantastic job. Yeah. I mean, I have
work
to deal
with
with
my
this
best
guy.
friend.
Do what you love all day.
Yeah, I
That's
work with my
crazy.
best friend. Like we sit here all day and talk shit.
Yeah.
Back and forth.
And make elephant
like-
trunks and cool things.
Yeah, we get to. Nobody messes with us. Like,
Yeah.
make sure it's 110% before it leaves out of here.
Absolutely.
Okay. And we look at it. Chris, you like this?
It's like, yeah. That's not your best
all
work.
right.
You're like, yeah.
Show me your best work. All right, I'll go back. I'm not the best welder
Or fabricator.
or fabricator, apparently. So I always run it by him. Like, what do you think about this? Oh, he would look better. Like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
And he'll say the same thing. What do you
And I
think about-
appreciate working with people who can take creative criticism as well, because I've worked with especially fabricators. Fabricators are very this is what I did, and this is what you're gonna get. If I'm like, yeah, it'd be cool if we routed over this way. He's not just like, I already did it, I'm not gonna redo it. It's just like, yeah, it would probably look better, if we went around this
way
way or did
cooler
that.
like
yeah,
Hey,
it's like,
use your words.
yeah.
Maybe
your words.
next time, do it a little faster. So our last build that we're doing right now is F30. It's a 1,000 horsepower build.
Yeah, JZ F30.
So I cut a whole bunch of pie cuts. I was like, this
So
shit ain't gonna work. He's like, you got enough of those? I'm like, no. And they're sitting there chopping. He's like, well, I ain't got shit to do.
I was just tired of hearing
I'm
the
gonna-
saw too.
I'm gonna build the cold, the hot side. I'm like, all right, hell yeah, build the hot side. I come over there and he's got it all taped up, all pie cuts. It's like,
Yeah. So getting a pie cut, you might as well pie cut the whole thing,
yeah,
Yeah.
You don't half pie cut it. You
Go
cut the
all
whole
out.
pie.
you full pie cut.
You full pie cut
All
it.
the pie.
All the pie.
So he comes over. He's
fire,
like,
no pie.
there's like a 3-inch section that could be straight. I'm like, we're not doing straight there. He's like, all right,
It's
hold
like
on.
everything's gonna be welded.
Just sits there. He's like,
Guys,
how
this
many more
is
you got?
drifting. This is all right. This is drifting.
I
It's
got
not
5. He's like, I only need 3. 45, 45, 45. Boop, 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 boop. Build.
Straight. Tape it all together and like weld it. It took him like a majority of the next day to finish welding that thing because it was literally made out of like 18 sections or 20 sections in there.
Fucking beautiful.
It's beautiful. Yeah.
Fucking
It came out so
Sure,
sick.
colors
Yeah.
on
It's like a little
Inside and out.
Well, it
You
is
look at the
aluminum. It's just like a
inside,
lobster
oh,
tail,
okay.
but it looks sweet. Like
Yeah.
it just came out so nice, and just like I'm so happy we used all pie cuts on that.
It's cool how you guys took the pie cuts too to like go off the direction and like map it around.
twist
Gives you a video staring at it
and you're just
before.
like,
He was
Right.
bored, so I was like, here.
What's funny is we talk about that all the time too. Is just like whenever we have builds and stuff like that, we just pull the car in the shop and we'll just sit there and spend like an hour or two just staring at the car,
Yeah.
like and just figuring out like where can we
Fitting
put this?
under it in
It's
the
like where's the
AC.
catch can going to fit? Where can we route the intake? Like how can we do intercooler piping? Like what style intercooler do we want to do? Do we want to do like V mount, flat mount? Like where do we have room for oil coolers? How can I route my fuel lines, fuel pressure regulator? Like
Used to
just
catch
sit there and
shit
think about
about it,
everything,
too, remember
and
that?
then we just go through and like we just make a list. Like okay, we need all of this for Fab. I need all of these fittings from Vibrant. I need this hose and this and that and like. Given you can't get 100% of it the first run around,
Like
you know what I mean?
90%.
We get like 90% of it, and then at the end of it, it's like, yeah, we got to order a few more fittings and put stuff together. But it's like just having the dynamic of like working with the same people for as long as we've been working together to be able to figure out like, okay, this is what we need to get this shit done.
I'm doing my
That's
fuel
cool,
lines
yeah.
this way. I'm doing my radiator lines this way. You're going to do your exhaust lines this way. Everything like molds, and we'll just sit down and stare for like 2 hours. Artel come out like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, don't worry about it.
it's the creative process, Dad.
No, the thing is, as long as you're holding a clipboard, they'll never ask questions.
Yeah.
It's like as long as you're like taking notes, writing something.
Yeah,
down,
just
drawing
look
something
busy.
out.
The
Like,
first like 2 years of doing it, he used to like come over and look at us, and we're just like sitting there drinking a beer, watching. It's like 7:30. We're well past
clocked out at 6.
We're clocked
and we're
out
sitting for an hour
We're
and
just
a
like
half.
sitting there drinking beer, like just looking up at it, like, what the fuck are you guys doing? Dreaming. We are the dreamers of dreams. We are the music makers.
Don't question the process.
It's a beautiful
So now
line.
he's
It's a process.
He
Right?
comes over to look at us.
Everything pocket and they're just like beautiful
Yeah.
line.
So now he'll open the door, see us laying in the car.
Yep.
And just straight
not
up
even worth it.
Respect the process.
Yeah, he knows. It's like, all right, they're dreaming. Okay.
They're dreamers.
They're dreamers.
So I know you said that you're not you don't technically work for Drift HQ.
Yeah, no, I'm
How
not
did
like.
you come involved?
I talk a lot, and people think I'm funny sometimes. Genuinely.
Dustin talk a lot.
Dustin talks a lot. I started announcing. I did a OKC Battle Royale with some friends.
Okay.
And so I announced the event, and then I just kept announcing events. And
kept
then
wanting
this
to bet.
madman's on top of a roof, and it's literally on my TikTok, like, or Instagram story somewhere. And he's got a drink in his hand. I got a drink in my hand. He's on top of it, and he just points at me like this. And he's like, "You coming up here?" And I was like, "Yeah, I am." And so I ran past, like, do not enter sign. I'm like, "Screw you, sign." Tripped on it. It was great. We're sitting on the roof, though. We weren't even in, like, the AC box. We're on the roof. And I'm literally like, man, I've been drinking all day. And somebody said I could stand up here with a microphone on a hot mic on a live
get to
stream.
talk shit to
And then I get to
everybody.
look down and like, that's 4 stories. Who said I could do this? And then just took another drink.
That was OKC.
No, that was the first one here at AMP.
Yeah.
No,
I was like, OKC was pretty hyped up.
OKC, I was pretty hyped up too, because like I didn't know the vibe, and Liquid Death was sponsoring it, and like people that I've been looking up to, they're sitting
tight.
next to me spotting, and I've been drifting for like 2 years at this point. So I'm literally getting yelled at by Pat Gooden to like get a real car, and like people are like saying, "Get out of Miatas, like you got it, like go to the next step." And I'm like, all right. And so I do my first
Don't
OKC.
you talk about my Miata.
Don't you talk about my Miata? My flip up headlights pop, 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 pop. All right.
Don't make me wink at you.
Yeah, for sure. If I click it fast enough, it'll just start doing this. But yeah, I started doing that, and then people thought it was good, and I announced well, and I know enough people.
hell
so
yeah.
I
It's
just-
got good vibes.
great vibes.
Great vibes.
I'm here to party.
It's always
he
nice,
did the announcements at the Spring Break Bash at Mid Pond too, and that was wily for sure.
Yeah.
And it's
Missed
like
that one.
he didn't even have like full announcements. It was just a bullhorn, just hollering at everybody.
But the
like,
crowd had a great time.
Right, but no, and it was like mostly a crowd judged event too. So it's all about like crowd interaction, getting people involved and stuff like that. And you got to have the right personality for that kind of stuff. I'm not the guy for that. Like I'm not going to go yell at random.
You can literally put me in any situation. I'll just make it fun, and I'm gonna have fun. So I'm sure the other people around me are gonna have fun. and I'm not like too autistic where I don't notice someone's not having fun.
Just got a little touch of autism. That's it.
Just a little bit on the
I don't know.
spectrum.
Hey, I've never been diagnosed with anything, okay? But I also can see, like, if it's not the vibe, you're like, oh, okay, I need to tone down, or I need to bring it up, or like change it, and it's like also doesn't like eat at me. Like when you say something you're hyped and the crowd isn't like pumped about it, you're like, I don't care that you don't like it. I've seen what you like. Like I know I'm right.
I know this.
Like here you go, cheer on. He won. Get over it. I don't care that he's your favorite. He didn't do well. I'm sorry.
He sucked.
Like he sucked at that point.
Trust me, I know. I've watched him a lot.
Yeah.
He sucked.
That's the thing with drifting, and like as a judge or an announcer, it's really hard. As an announcer, you have to understand all the judges' mindset, but also be okay with stepping back, only being hyped for a second, letting the judges do stuff, and not be like, well, this person clearly won. Like at no point can you overstep the judges.
Right.
And when they make a decision, you're not undercutting them either. You're not going to be like there was calls that I don't always agree with.
I mean, everybody's guilty of that. You're at home watching Formula Drift, like, how the hell did that guy win? But there's always that like weird like waiver or that weird like step correction that he did, and you're just like, okay, after they review it, you're like, okay, that makes
One
sense.
of the worst judges, too.
Just-
He's one of the worst.
We're in the background, like,
Don't
no, he
put me up
definitely
there,
won.
bro.
Like,
He definitely
why?
sandbagged the shit out of that.
Judging from a screen though is so much
deserved
different.
more. I deserved more. Right?
Yeah, what?
Like when you know driving. I deserve more. I deserve more out of a driver. Like,
Oh yeah.
they sandbag.
I was so confused. There's that we're just
Like, no,
listening.
I
I deserve more.
Give the microphone.
I don't know.
Here, take the mic. Take it all.
You don't want me to judge. Like they ask me and Chris to judge all the time. Like,
Don't. If someone asks you to judge a drift event, don't do it.
Don't do it.
Yeah.
'Cause
I'm
everybody will
telling
hate
you right now,
Yeah.
don't do it.
we are the worst. We deserve
Best way to
more.
make enemies. There
We
you
know.
go.
Yeah, exactly.
We know our drivers. We know everyone.
It's a no
We've been
win.
around forever. So like, if you're sandbagging, we fucking know when you're sandbagging.
It just reminds me.
But regardless, like if you have 95% of people that favor one person and 5% of people that favor the other person, and you rule in the 95 percentile, and the guy clearly won, that 5% of people will yell louder and create more bullshit than the 95%.
Because they feel like they're being
Right,
slighted.
exactly.
But
So
you
they
go
feel like they want to gas it up.
The 5% is like pumped. 95 is going after him, and you're just
Yeah.
like, "Whoa, dude! Like,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, he was offline, dropped 2 tires.
Yeah.
Like, it's there, it's clear." But another thing that I think is very important for everybody to know is judging from a screen and seeing drone views, and then the original judgment. When judges are marking their sheets, they're seeing it live, and they're going lead, follow.
Yeah.
Right? And you got to think about it from that judge point, and you realize they're going through and can see from one point of view. They don't get to see the angle the stands see. They don't get to see the overview. Now we're getting to replays and stuff where we're getting like stuff, especially
Well,
at
that's
the
when
lower
they start
level.
to really judge too.
Yeah.
And it's everyone else sees something else.
Yeah.
I see a driver get in a lot tighter here, and then you see the aerial view, and like,
Yeah, it's like, but the thing is, like, if you're
he's not
watching,
that tight.
if you're watching drifting though, it's like your biggest hype factor is when somebody's like on someone's door. So like you see your chase and they're like, oh, they were in there.
Yeah, but
then
it
you
depends on
actually
the
watch it like
angle.
from like a judge's perspective, and they're like,
this T-boning,
You watch it, he's like
T-boning.
this.
right.
Yeah.
He's like,
We're like, the proximity is there.
yeah, he's not this. He's
But
like,
not like
this. And
That's not
different.
following a line.
Right, exactly. Like if you're chopping line and stuff like that, like
Yeah.
sure you might have the proximity, but like when on their lead run, they're deep in the pocket and like they're pulling up on top of people. Like that's where you want to see
The pocket.
But, like it's not as hype as it always is when you can barely even see what's going on. But like everybody just wants like, oh,
You're
proximity.
running
He was way
cookies.
closer to him. It's like, yeah, but that's not really what it's all
Yeah,
about.
most people don't see
That's how the cookie crumbles.
perspective.
You wanna-
Yeah.
you
Because
wanna
nobody really
rub
talks
cookies.
about it.
Exactly.
So.
It's on these cookies.
I'm gonna rub cookie. Well, it's about angle. Like I see a lot of people do this, and it's like, oh, he's so close. Yeah, but he's not following line.
Yeah, he's not matching the
Like
angle.
if you can come up and be like this, whatever the distance is. If you're this, it's cutting line. You know,
I love these
Yeah.
guys. FYI, that's how I got into Drift HQ. I just love the team. They're phenomenal, and I love working
we've
with them.
watched enough.
That's the vibe I'm getting.
We're horrible judges.
Yeah, don't make them
Don't
judges.
trust us for anything.
Never again.
Like I said,
We know what we want to see.
You know what I want to see? You in a kiddie pool with the board up.
You know, clutch kickers is gone. No more.
R.I.P.
R.I.P.
That's another conversation.
Yeah.
I hate to say it, but I did call that.
That they were going to die. Oh, no,
I called
we
it
talked about it
months
previously as well.
beforehand.
They were dumping a lot of money into it, and they were getting the involvement. But as soon as they switched everything over to the Freedom Factory, they lost so many rights to the
Yeah.
things that they were supposed to
couldn't
actually
do
be
it
able to
anymore.
monetize on that they just they kind of dug themselves into a hole that they weren't going to be able to pull
They
out.
got put into a corner. Like, you
done
gotta
it.
understand.
I understand their perspective.
Yeah.
Absolutely, they're looking for anything to make it happen. And given the Central Florida location was a much better spot for it in terms of accessibility,
So
to
much
Florida
better than
drivers.
Panhandle,
But
dude.
also, when you were up in the Panhandle, like you had more
That
out of state
track is
drivers wanting to come out. Like that's where it was cool because like the dynamic of
It wasn't just Florida boys.
Exactly, and honestly, like
everyone.
I saw a lot more cool like underdog stuff. Like even when like Ryan Acevedo and stuff was first coming out there with like the VQ on a 75 shot.
Ben Julian with his little
Ben Julian
Miata.
with the Miata and stuff like that. It was just like the
Crushing it.
wild cards that you saw come out there and running against pro drivers. Like that's what you want to see in drifting. Like those underdogs
of course.
just pulling that
That's what
like,
we want to see out of that
pocket.
series
And
for
also
sure.
us
Because
at the
we
finish
already
line.
see pro
Talking
versus pro.
shit the whole time with our whiteboards. You know, like we need one of those.
Yeah, and it was also like it was a really laid back vibe at the old Clutch Kickers track. Like, it was
I got
so
to
much
drive
fun.
that track once, and it was
So
one
cool.
of the
We
best
went to
tracks
so many
I ever
events
had to
there, and
drive.
I always said I wanted to drive that track.
You never
Like,
drove it?
I
never
never
did?
got to drive it.
We never got
I
to
never
drive
got to
it.
drive it.
Dude.
Dude, I stole the EMC purple 350Z. I was helping them in the pits. They had some issues, and we were fixing the silver and purple car. And I was like, I hate to be that guy.
Reese's car.
Yeah.
That was Reese's car.
Yeah, so
Reese.
I was like, I hate to be this guy. I'm helping you with this. I have a 350Z. I know how to drive. Do you trust me? He's like, go out there, get a tandem. And I was like, oh, no. We're not tandeming on the first run. And so I went out there, and like his car was so differently set up. It was so much more gripped up, but then also like, once you get sideways, it's like if you're not powered in, it wants to like just keep going
Yeah, it wants to
forward.
float.
It's weird. It's
That's
weird.
350Z stuff.
Yeah, and so like I finally figured it out, and literally by the time I figured it out, it was like there's a car behind me. I'm like, oh my god, there's a car behind. Oh god, I gotta hold this together. And he literally,
oh god,
he saw me with a car behind me. He's like, "Are we good? Are you good to give the key back?" I was like, yeah, "Here's the keys. Sorry, man."
Sorry,
He's like, you didn't break it. Everything's
He's
fine.
like, waved off. All right.
Reese is a great guy.
They're great guys.
But given, you know, when that event was still like happening at Emerald Coast, we were out of Fort Myers, and with like the 2-car trailer and stuff, when we would pull up to that event, I mean, we're talking about 10 hours, like 11 hours, and we wouldn't even leave the state of Florida. Coming from Fort Myers all the way up to cycle up to get into like the back corner of the Panhandle, like literally in a different time zone. Like from where we are in Florida, just that little corner of the Panhandle of Florida is in a different time zone.
And every time we go
So
through
we're
there, it was a thunderstorm.
Yeah.
It was like
Every single time.
Yes, that
every
is true.
single
I feel like
time
Clutch
it
Kickers
was
was
a thunders.
cursed.
It was fucked.
It was crazy. But also, I always talked about with Mike Castleberry, the guy who directed, you know, most of the stuff for Clutch Kickers. Like, I was like, if you ran Clutch Kickers in the wintertime, for one, we're not going to get this crazy inclement weather where it's either raining or 100 degrees. For two, it's off season for all the pro guys, so you're more likely to get people out there doing tests and tunes, like, you know, pushing their cars and like doing more dynamic driving and stuff like
You
that.
get more pro drivers.
For three, you're also going to get all of your like seasonal people, like the snowbirds that come down to Florida, and they're going to pay for those tickets to want to come watch the drifting and stuff. People who see the stuff online and stuff all the time. You know what I mean? You're going to get more like fans in the stands, like actually watching the event. I was like, it's like a triple play. Like you're going to get everything you want out of this event: more good drivers, better weather, and more spectators. The spectators obviously are what's going to pay the bills over there, because them paying out $10,000 an event.
So, not making
it's
it
I don't
hard
think they
to
had
make
merch
money.
sales
You're not
for
getting
it.
anything.
Like, I don't
But
think they
also
sell
think
enough
about the
for it.
location of where Emerald Coast was for them to try and sell merch and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like the only people buying it are like the people who are diehard trying to support it, and you're buying it not because you need a shirt, because you want to see this series
You want
live
to
on.
see it
And
survive.
like, and they were completely independently funded. Like they were doing stuff like Drift HQ sponsored a few of the events and stuff like that, you know, and like help them out to like, you know, keep things moving. But like the dynamic of what they were paying out and the cost of operations to rent the track and do everything like that, they were just
So-
they were
Dude,
burying
it's
themselves,
expensive.
man.
An operational cost that you guys don't think
Expensive.
about.
People don't think about that.
You got to
How much
think
it
of all the
costs.
insurance and all of the
Insurance,
the
paying
endless-
judges, getting like
Announcer,
everything.
all those things, but then
Right.
the video
The
quality,
live stream
the live
and stuff
stream
like-
itself, they have 3 different cell plans because there's no internet there.
Yeah.
So Verizon, T-Mobile, and AT&T,
Yeah.
they're running through this massive weird box thing that goes through with drift
They had
sessions.
a bus.
And they had to figure
Put a
all
whole
this
bus
out.
there with all
And
the
they
like
keep
cast.
cutting
Yeah.
off my sweet fucking
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
I'm
they
getting
can
nervous
say
the
with
whiteboard.
Riverside too, because especially
Riverside's awesome.
Riverside.
dude, it's awesome.
going there.
But there's,
We're going there to collect money.
they're shelling out a lot.
They
of
are
fucking
shelling out a lot of
dude.
money, but Riverside does attract a lot of fans
Yeah.
in the stands and stuff.
But it,
And
like
big,
even in New
big
Jersey this
boys.
weekend, there was
I saw that on
hardly
live. We were in
anyone
Jersey
there.
this weekend, but I saw it and it seemed like the stands were dead, which is wild because like when Adam hosts like the LZ World Tour or like the what was the LZ Invitational and stuff
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that he hosted there in previous years, they were breaking the attendance records for when Formula Drift was there.
Beating Formula
Everything
Drift.
was like stacked. Like every stand was completely full. Like the lines around the pits were insane.
But the demand is there.
But exactly. But like I don't know if it was like a promotional, like they dropped the ball in promotions for that event or what. Because but the thing is, you had the pro drivers, you had Jimmy Oaks there, you had Adam LZ there. Like exactly.
That's what I was. It's 100% marketing. Like Adam knows what he's doing, and he has a huge client base that's already there, that's on his videos that he can market to technically for free.
Right.
But then he also runs his ads. They have a budget for Instagram ads and Facebook ads and stuff like that.
Right.
And he does
and he has the outreach to make it happen.
Well, he also goes like into the spider web of when you're an influencer and you're friends with 2 influencers, and those 2 influencers are there, and he invites 18 influencers.
But that's what I mean.
People
so like when he was doing the World Tour stuff, it was just like you had Jimmy Oaks and you had TJ Hunt and you had Adam there and stuff like that, and those 3 alone bring such a wild following. Then you throw Colette in there, and you have
people that are Titans
and
by
like all of these like
themselves.
big YouTubers like in one place at the same time. Like those events sell because like you're pulling so many different fan bases all
everyone
to one.
at once.
Right. So like now when he does like this, or when this Riverside thing happened, like you still had Jimmy Oaks there, you still had Adam there, and you still had like a handful of like good pro drivers, like all the FD guys. Like you'd think that would pull the following. So I feel like that was definitely a big like marketing error on their part. Like they did not advertise that for nothing.
Yeah,
that's exactly it. Because the only reason I knew about it was because I do Scotty D's media, so it was on his schedule.
Right.
That's the only place I had heard about it. Beforehand. So.
And we have driven a couple of the Riversides. We did that one in Indiana last year, which is actually followed right after our 4th of July event. Well, the Riverside one last year followed immediately after our 4th of July event, so we literally left here and drove up to Indiana.
Gotcha.
And set that thing up, and it was like nonstop. Like we were running the whole weekend, and it was wild. It was the same thing. Like they had a decent turnout out there, but it wasn't as big as you would think it was. Like, but drivers are showing up because the payout's ridiculous. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I feel like all the vendors
like
get disappointed too. It's just like they're like, oh,
first place,
this is for sure like an event you want to be at. Like the vendors who like drive from out of state to show up to this, and then like no one shows up.
Yeah, I'm sure they lost quite a bit on that one.
Yeah,
it only takes one bad event too sometimes for like vendors to lose that faith, and vendors help carry because it's consistent, guaranteed money.
Exactly. Like they're paying for a spot, and if you're not making your money back, then
well,
you're
that's
not necessarily going to come to the next event.
I've been a part of things where that paid the staff.
Right.
So like the staff, like the people are fronting this money, and like to be also being able to pay immediately is huge. Like a lot of small events.
Money's got to come from somewhere.
Money's got to come from somewhere, and sometimes it doesn't come quickly. You know what I mean? Like, I know somebody won an event once. I'm not going to say the event or win or anything like that, but it took them a month to get paid. And then some people never get paid.
Yeah, old school shit.
We've been around for a while now, guys. It happens. Yeah. But I mean,
it only takes one bad payout to completely ruin the legitimacy of the series.
Yeah. I will say that
South Florida was notorious.
Clutch Kickers was the one out of all of them that made sure that they paid their guys.
OKC paid same day.
How quick was it?
You got to check on site.
Check the same day.
You got a big check, and then you got a little check to actually take to the bank.
Castleberry made sure that, you won?
And that was something
signed, sealed, delivered.
That was something we dealt with like some of the smaller drift series and stuff, like even like the Pro-Am stuff back in the day. And that was like, if you're not getting paid out, like you will completely get burned. Like especially, obviously social media and everything like that, like blown up as much as it does. Like that guy will make a point to bury whatever it is. It could be $2,000. It doesn't matter. But they will make
$500.
They will drag.
It's a pride thing, dude. Like, you don't pay me. Come on.
Exactly.
I give Castleberry one thing. He always paid.
Yeah, and he put on a hell of an event, man. It's just
it was good.
So good. So good.
Exactly.
Sure.
Like honestly, if Castleberry would just like buy a track to do this, where he's not paying for track rentals and stuff like that,
work for it, man.
He would absolutely be able to run something. You know what I mean? Like he has the reach out.
He has it.
I know.
That's it. That's the cut right there.
It's 100%
Castleberry had the reach.
So they sold Emerald Coast, or they were selling Emerald Coast drag. I think it was like $800K or something like that, and that's the drag strip and the go-kart track over there. So even if you're not running the drifting stuff all the time, you can run go-karting, you can run drag nights and stuff. Like that track in a few years could pay for it.
It was the worst
time
for that to go up during what we were dealing with the pandemic, and then the recession.
Yeah, all the COVID stuff and everything.
It's Florida. Nobody gives a shit.
It doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. But banks weren't loaning out.
Me and Chris were going to the bar when it was closed. You want to talk about that?
Well, I mean, we were doing drift weeks and stuff during COVID, and like as much as like stuff was being blown out of proportion, like nationwide. Like when we were going to all these different states, like driving literally all over the United States, like 99% of the places we went to did not care. if we were driving up to New Jersey for, I think, one of the gambler events or like something like that.
No, we were going to Washington for this.
No, because I remember that this guy was in like South Carolina, and we stopped off at this gas station. There's a Taco Bell inside the gas station, and the guy's like looking at us crazy because they're not wearing masks. He's like, "Do you know where you are right now? You're in a COVID hotspot." And this and like going crazy on us, like all this, like you need to put on a mask and this and that. This dude sits down at the table, reaches into the hot sauce bucket at Taco Bell, puts the hot sauce on his plate and starts opening them up with his teeth and putting them on his food. I'm like, this guy has the audacity to tell me to wear a mask. He's putting his mouth on the bin of hot sauce that everybo's been dipping their hands into.
It's my favorite. They're touching their phone with the gloves. They're touching their phone with the gloves and then put it right to their face. And you're just like, oh my God.
You can't do that.
Or the guy driving in the car by himself
with a mask on. And you're like, what are you doing?
Gotta watch out for yourself.
When they stagger seats.
Yeah.
Nobody sits forward.
No wife.
I mean, don't get me wrong.
Back there, they kiss the wife while they put him in the back seat. Yeah. Just like, you sit away from me, okay?
Don't get me wrong. I appreciated the personal space. Like, give me 6 feet. I don't care about COVID. Give me 6 feet. Don't get all in my business.
I've been screaming that for years.
Tape measure. All right, get a little away from me.
All right. So, how have like companies like, since we mentioned BC before we even started, but how have companies like BC and do y'all work with FDF?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, we love Josiah.
Okay, cool. So
so we were the primary U.S. distributor for FDF. So pretty much, if you buy FDF in the United States, you're buying it from us. Like, so he sells stuff like globally. You know what I mean? But like anything in the United States, like we worked with Josiah for Formula Drift. We were running him and Alex Schlegel for ProSpec like 2 years ago, and like we got in a good relationship with him and stuff like that, and his parts and products before we even started working with him for Formula Drift. And like he's always on the same train that we are. Like, what's the next chassis? What's the next guy going to be able to like, you know, turn into a drift car? Like, he's producing the angle kits. We're trying to make like dual caliper brackets. We're trying to find like, you know, companies that can produce control arms for us, because like you always have to kind of be a step ahead. Like before people were even drifting Corvettes, we were the first ones like coming out with the dual caliper brackets for them and stuff like that.
C4.
The C4 was just like an oddball out. Like we literally called Josiah when we were doing the C4 RB25 build for Adam.
I love that car.
Yeah, I love that car too. And we just called Josiah.
I hate C4s, but I love that car.
I feel like that's like,
dude, that whole car is such a vibe.
You love it or you hate it, but like just driving that car around the compound, I was test driving. I'm like, I feel like badass. I feel like some sunglasses and shit, like big Miami vibes, you know?
Yeah, it wouldn't be Miami without that kid.
Yeah, without the kid, it wouldn't be doing it. But like, it was cool. Like, and like another company like Bjork, like we were working with them like with the body kits and like, you know, trying to, you know, get it more advertised in the United States. So, but BC Racing's based out of Orlando, so we do a bunch of work with them. They provide all the coilovers and stuff for our drift cars, and like even our personal vehicles and stuff like that.
We all run BC.
Yeah,
I run BC.
Yeah, all our boys over there, like, you know, we're real cool with Cody and stuff like that. Like I help him out. He has his RTR EcoBoost Mustang. So like I've done like
I just drove it.
EcoBoost.
Yeah, like I did like
we call it the
shifter.
It ego boosts you for sure.
Boost.
It's also got Von Gittins Jr. signature in there, so it tells you it's real.
Bro, that car fucks.
Dude, I just took it off a wedge trim.
2.0
and I drove it.
That car fucks.
That little 2.3
That's who
gets down, man.
Reached out to me was Cody.
Cody's super cool guy. Like he'll literally call me.
Hi, Cody.
He texts Cody.
Hi, Cody. You're the best, Cody. Can I get some of these corduroy shorts, Cody?
Yo, fuck off. I need more.
He texted me a picture of his car on the trailer.
Yeah.
With HQ cars before.
So like I was like, before it was kind of an after hours thing. Like Cody would hit me up, be like, hey, I got this like, you know, oil catch can, this like, you know, PCV plate I want to put on the side of this EcoBoost, and then it was like an intercooler, and then it turned into like the RTR angle kit and like a hand brake, and like
it's like I want this.
Things just started stacking up. Like he started on a very entry level, like trying to figure out how to drift, and then like he got more and more comfortable in the chassis, and he kept giving him more power, more angle, more this, like put racing seats in it. Then he went and did like drift week and stuff like that. So like, and now he's here at the event for this weekend, and I'm really pumped to see what he's gonna do on a big track. It's like this ain't no skid pad.
I'll have someone to do drift week. We'll just go to Mid-Pond.
90% of the
Mid-Pond lets you do anything.
Mid-Pond's amazing.
I talk about him all the time.
Yeah. No, I love the vibes over there.
Drive-through will not allow you to have a cage and drive. It's illegal. So you have to. It's
really
illegal.
So some states won't allow you to have roll cages.
Roll cages
because it's more of a hazard if you get into a car accident if you're not wearing like
If you're not wearing your harness.
You hit your head
on
on the
the
roll
street?
cage. Yeah, on the street.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Cages are
That
dangerous.
makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, they're dangerous, but
I'm pretty sure they're illegal in
Okay.
Tennessee to drive on the street.
Okay.
Yeah, in Florida, they don't give a shit. You drive whatever you want. Like,
Yeah,
They don't.
in Florida, you can literally build a car in your backyard and be like, hey, I need a title for this car. I just built it. They're like, okay, here you go.
The
Get
cops will come and look at your car and. Yep.
You just need literally like a windshield and turn signals, and they're like, yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, no doors required.
Brake
No
lights. You gotta
trunk.
The brake lights, turn
brake
signals,
lights,
headlights,
Brake
those
lights,
work.
headlights, like whatever. Like just the
They freak
basics.
out over the
Yeah,
lights.
they don't give a shit.
They like the lights.
No doors.
And a windshield. Like you can literally take a side by side and get it registered on the street.
What's great about Florida windshials too is they're free. Literally, I got
if you got a good insurance,
3 per year.
it's free,
You
baby.
get 3 per year.
Yeah,
I don't.
they don't check. They don't check the VIN.
I'm cheap, and I also have a rebuild title Infinity. Like I don't care about that thing.
I got how many Miatas? You
The
realize how many
interior of
Miata
my car looks
windshields I
great.
go
And that's
through?
all I ever see, so that's all I care.
Yeah. That's fucking.
I pay like $75 a month for the insurance on that car. It's great.
Dude, America's Collector, if it's over 30 years, I pay $300 a year for my Miata.
What?
That's it, $300 a year. No deductible, $10,000
I feel like you're
coverage.
overpaying.
I'm overpaying?
$300 a year.
$300 a year?
For a Miata?
Cricket, can I get your
$40
insurance
a month.
plan? Can I get your insurance?
He's on AARP at this
AARP,
point.
you old man.
Old.
Old man.
shit.
Yeah, dude, get that collection, or I want to get Hertz, or not Hertz, but what's the collector insurance?
You hurts me.
I don't remember.
Hurts his feelings.
Hurts my feelings.
Hertz. You're Hertz. High five.
So, tell me about Ebisu though, because like, what all went into making that? Even
So we
happen?
actually
That's
neither
a
of us
lot
attended
people.
Ibisu.
Neither did I.
Neither me nor Cricket were at Ibisu. So I had just bought a house like 2 months before they left, so I just didn't have the funding to like go out there and rent a car and be able to do everything. Like they both, Duarte and Savio, both had cars out there, and like they have all their connections and stuff like that. So they're able to go out there and drive with everybody. And obviously, like the summer Matsuri stuff is
So
like,
no, it wasn't
crazy.
like a collective plan.
I mean, it's an unintentional, it's an unintentional collective plan from our end, but I'm sure like all of the guys on Adam's end, like having Jimmy and Sam and like everybody come out there at the same time. I'm sure they all talk about making sure that they're there at the same time.
Because I was curious how that even.
But also, like the
worked
summer
out. I
Matsuri
figured
is such
I'll
a
do best to
huge
know.
deal, or the spring Matsuri, whichever one they attended. It's such a huge deal that like people come out there, like regardless of what's going on, like regardless of those people are going to be there. But also like hyping it up as much as they could with having so many famous YouTubers and stuff attending. 'Cause, I mean, they even have followings in Japan. Like they have
That's
following
crazy.
all over the world, so they definitely have enough to like gain ground wherever they're going to go, and they obviously like have cars out there that they have available to them to go drive. So we were just a little bit out of the loop on that one. And
No
it's
one
just,
wants to see us drive, too.
yeah, no, you're not going to throw me on the track. Like my first time ever driving closed track course was in 2019, like right before COVID and everything hit was in Japan, and like I just hopped in a car. It was like it was a JZX 90 with a PBM angle kit, and I was just like, who's going out with me? It's like my first time ever trying to drift anything that's not just like hitting random left-handers on the street. And Joel, our videographer, was like, dude, I'll get in the car with you. I'm like, cool, let's go. And I'm just like red line clutch kicking this car every time to initiate.
What about Alex?
No momentum.
Grabbing your fucking.
No, Alex is over there with his hands in front of you while you're driving, like distracting.
Grabbing your hydro.
No, that was Duarte. Duarte was like, we were at the AZ circuit, and they're like, there's this big drop off, and he's like, there's a video of him in the car with me. He's like, I want to see an initiation like that, and I was like, okay. And I just like dump the clutch and throw it one way and flick the car back the other way. And the whole time Duarte's over there was his hand on the e-brake, like worried about me going off the side of this mountain over there. And I'm just like, I was worried about it too, but I was just like, one track mind. That was it. Like I'm just trying to drive. So I mean, given this has been like years since then, I've become a somewhat better driver since then. But but it was definitely a wild, like just like make or break experience, because there's like 50 people out on the track. I mean, obviously, like the Matsuri stuff's like way crazier when you go to Ibisu, because you have like 250 cars or like 500 cars on the track at a time. But like even this to me was just like, I'm gonna go out here and make a fool of myself. And like people were excited to see us because they were like customers of ours and stuff as well. So like they knew us and they watched us like, oh, Drift HQ. And
Don't
then
look
you
at
out there
me.
like, maybe not that guy. Maybe that's not the guy to follow.
John Cena over here.
Not the one.
Don't look at me, little puppet.
He's literally looking at him. He's like 2, 3, and he's like, no.
0. Sitting there. I'll wait right here. Don't even let him follow me.
You want to see him die? That's how you see him die.
And also at that time, I had only drifted like VLSD Nissans. So like my amount of throttle commitment, like a VLSD car, like if you let off the diff, it pretty much just opens up. So like I'm coming around like the first couple turns, like learning how to drive this car, and it had a welded. So like as I'm coming out of the turn, I'm still on throttle a little bit, and then the car starts kicking back and kicking back and kicking back, and I'm just in the car like, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit. And there's like I said, like drop offs on both sides of the track, like off the side of a mountain range. And Simon's in the car, he's like, yeah, maybe you just let off the gas a little bit earlier than you know coming around that turn. I'm like, yeah, I didn't know it was gonna do all that. It got a little crazy.
Oh, I'm sure it does out there.
Yeah, lessons were learned.
So the old parts truck, do y'all even still do that anymore?
Oh, yeah.
Or you still bring the parts truck and everything for
Yes.
drivers?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the parts van has been like a growing process of what it originally was. So we got this like Ford Transit van that had like this weird 3.5 5-cylinder diesel in it that we couldn't get parts for.
Who thought of the idea?
Duarte originally came up with it because like
Okay.
we were always trying to provide parts for people at the track. Again, like same thing as the original Dynamic Drift HQ, just keep people on track, get people driving, you know what I mean? And then it just escalated so quickly into like everybody buying everything, and then like it really took off when we started doing the Drift Week stuff, because Drift Week is like 90% of the cars are swapped to something that's not available in the United States, like, you know, 1Js and like, you know, certain things that do interchange, like, you know, cam seals or like, you know, coil packs or something like that. But like manifold gaskets. Exactly. Like you're not always going to get some stuff at O'Reilly's. So like, it was like, okay, give me the list of all the cars that are going to be at Drift Week. And then we just started looking up like, or talking about like common problems for these engines. Like, are they head gaskets? Do the water pumps fail? Does this fail? Like, and then like, you know, control arms and stuff like that. And then like, it turned into like a huge dynamic. Like the few Drift Weeks that we were like driving cross country with these like falling apart vans and stuff like that, just to try and make it like, we literally have one of our videos, we're driving from one event in Washington and the alternator died and we couldn't get the alternator for like 2 days. And we had like a 4-hour drive from one track to the other. We had 2 batteries in between the seats of the van with the jumper
charging pad
and a charging pack, a jumper pack. So we literally had jumper cables going from like the engine bay to the batteries, going through the window, and we're just like, okay, what's the reading? Oh, it's at 11.8 now. Okay, move it over to the other battery, let that battery recover, like just to make it through the drive. And like now we like, you know, we got it all in a trailer. Like it's been a lot more dialed in, and like it also gives us a little bit more room for the inventory. And like obviously, like the more and more we have the van, the more it adapts to like, you know, what parts are commonly failed. Like, oh, that's been in there for 2 years and no one's bought it. Like we don't need to replace that. But also Duarte is the kind of guy where like one guy will ask you for something one time in 3 years, and he's just like, okay, we're gonna have to get that in the van. I'm like, no, we don't. But like, you know, but he wants to have it because like, you know, worst case scenario, somebody's gonna need it. Like, yeah, exactly. Like he wants to be there.
That's the first time I met Duarte. Was my Z. I was working on it. It was on jack stands. I was working on it outside of OSW, like bleeding my lines and stuff, and I was the only car. I was on jack stand getting ready for a 3-day event, and I was like getting it done, and then they're like, I'll install my seats. Like I've done everything. Just a motor swap, did a trans, wiring harness, all this 10 days before. I just got cleared medically to drive. I broke my back, and so they literally were just like, yeah, you're able to drive. And so I bought my ticket and was fixing my car. I had 10 days to get it all done, and I'm like, all right, the seats go in, and I trusted my buddy. I was like, hey, I'm buying these seat rails from you. They're there. Everything's there. Cool. Just bought the box and put it in there. Didn't even think about it. Go there, and it's no seat rails. And it's the driver's side. I have passenger side. I don't have driver's side. And I'm like, what am I about to do? Like my whole car is here, but I've already ripped out the regular seat belt, so I can't put regular seats back in. I'll drive the hour plus to go to my house, whatever. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, and I knew them slightly. We've met maybe a couple times. We're chill, but like, you know, whatever. And Duarte's rolling around. They're like, ask Duarte or ask somebody. Like, we don't know the parts truck that well. I go over and like, hi, Mr. Duarte. I'm in big trouble. Like, I felt like there's no other option. There's nothing. Jukin's closed. Everybody's closed. Like, it's local. And I'm like, what am I gonna do? I'm here and it starts right now. I gotta tech this car. And I teched my car with no seat. So they're like, there's no seat. We can't pass you on tech. And I was like on the floor.
Just take me on everything else.
Are you sure? You can't. You can't.
I got a bucket in the back.
Like, it's fine. And so like, I got the harness around me. I'm like trying to get tagged.
Oh, hell no.
But no, I went over there and I'm like, do you guys have 350Z seat rails? We don't have seat rails, but like the whole like thing that attaches to the side. I'm like, yeah, can I get those?
I'll take those side brackets, please.
And then my card declined, and I'm like, can you charge for 100, do the rest of this car. Because drifting is a broke man sport.
Absolutely.
Like, it makes us broke.
Yeah.
It makes
Yeah.
us broke. So I bought it and was able to drift. And like literally the van, the first time I ever saw it, first time I ever really dealt with Drift HQ, and then we partied all weekend. That was like the first night that we actually partied and hung out.
That was when Spring Break Bash was a lot more fun.
That was
to be honest with
years
you.
ago.
But I won.
That was years ago. Holy cow, was it way more fun. I got my foot ran over at that event, almost arrested.
And like the year after that,
yeah, you won the drinking contest. I was right behind you.
Your boy.
Yeah. He can suck out of a can faster than I can. What can I say?
But I tell you, like
Some are
the
just better,
following
you know?
year,
My powers derived from these bad boys right here.
I tell you, the following year, like I had so much fun that year, and that I like invited a bunch of my friends, like gassed the event up and stuff. Like everybody came from out of town and shit like that. We got an RV, we stayed at the track, and it just completely fell off. Like I don't know if it was just like people started partying less, or they started regulating more at the track, or whatever it was. But it's just like it wasn't like what it used to be.
Died down.
Well, it's kind of like waves. So you go through and you realize the limits on stuff. And like the year that you came out, a forklift was stolen.
Yeah, the guy crashed through the gate.
I crashed through the gate, snuck out and crashed through. They locked us all in.
They locked me in
there's
after
no
1
drunk
a.m. because they
driving.
assume everybody's drunk, so they don't want anybody
Yeah.
to leave. Dude just ran his truck
So
through the gate.
Drove through it.
So drove through it. We had a forklift stolen. We had I got ran over by a four-wheeler, and then a four-wheeler ran into the beer pong table. We're not saying names. We're not saying names.
It's okay, he parties.
We're not saying names.
He likes to party.
But he likes to party, and I mean, like everybody was out there though. And then we did the burnouts. That was the last year of the burnout.
You
pit.
jumped over the fire pit.
That was a different year, and I almost got banned for life for it.
Yeah.
So.
That was next year.
Yeah, that was the next year. I tried to bring the party back, and I'm just like, let's party. I got a little XR80R, and I'm like, let's just take this 240 hood that's ruined and throw it on the fire, and I'll jump it with my dirt. What could go wrong?
Nothing.
So
at
I
all.
almost hit the crowd.
It went wrong.
Nobody got hurt.
As it does.
No one got hurt. But
Well, so like I was doing a burnout, and that was the problem. I did a burnout, and then it caught my foot because it walked out, and then I fell in the fire, and I just got tattooed on my leg, and I was like, my tattoo wasn't worried about anything else.
Majestic.
It was majestic.
Didn't you show up the following year? You just got both the top of your feet tattooed, and you had like cut
The
open
hog?
Crocs with like.
So I have this thing
duct
where I
tape
get
around your
tattooed
feet.
like right before drifting. It's like the day before. So I got both of my feet tattooed, and I cut the tops out of Vans and was constantly taping them with paper towels.
Paper towels and like duct tape around
And
his
so
face. I'm like, what the hell are you wearing?
I'm trying to drift with it, and it's like these open cut top where the laces are holding it in, and I like lost a van while drifting once. It was great.
Good times.
Yeah, nothing happened.
Those are the memories you talk about.
Dude, I'm so glad you remember that.
I do.
Dude, you didn't even know what the tattoos were yet.
I did because they were all
they were
bandaged
always
up.
covered because I was so worried, and I got like this big rooster on my foot, and
It's
then I got a hog.
it's a foot.
Back to the truck though. So did that like kind of? Is that what's really skyrocketed it? Especially being on Drift Week, I'm sure.
I mean, it
you
definitely
saved
helped
a
from like the
fuck ton of
promotional
cars.
aspects of it and stuff like that, and like being people's saving grace, and like given every time we like do those types of events, we do gain a lot of like lifelong customers. Could be like, yo, those are the guys that were there for me when like I couldn't get anybody else to help us out.
1 million.
Yeah.
But like given like from the time that Drift HQ actually started like selling products and like actually having a website and stuff like that. Within like a 4-year span, like the amount of like increase in sales and like I don't know the exact numbers of like how quickly it blew up. Obviously, like once we moved to the compound and like at the Adam bought out the business and everything like that. Like fortunately, he kept us with it too. But
thank God.
then it continued to grow. But that's obviously like just social media outreach and stuff like that.
Of course.
And every year, like it got exponentially larger, like more and more sales and more everything like that. While the parts van, because of the cost of operation, bringing it to the events and stuff like that, and the profit margins you actually work with on those types of parts, it's not necessarily that's like making the business a whole lot of money, but it's gaining you loyalty to the people that you're
Advertising.
saving. You know what I mean? Like those
Yeah,
people that
yeah.
they'll remember that you saved them at the track
marketing
and you were
guy.
able to drive
It
the
made
rest
me a
of the
lifelong
weekend.
customer, and I literally would like someone would say, "Oh, I need this," and like you're farming for a part through all these people. And drifters are huge on community. We're not like grudge racers.
Yeah,
so like
yeah.
I've handed out axles, my own spare axles, and been like,
Of course.
well, I hope I don't break my axles. Here you go,
Oh,
and like
yeah.
you take them at cost. Like you're not making money, but then like,
Of course.
hey, I don't have axles. Check Drift HQ, and then they're coming down to the box of axles, and they're just
Doing
like,
curls with axles all the way
Pick up
too.
trucks full of axles right now.
Yeah,
yeah.
You look at my F350 right now, full of axles.
yeah.
The whole thing.
Yeah, we've learned the limitations of that parts trailer because I mean we've had that thing packed up to like 14,000 pounds, like just stacked up with
Jesus.
everything, and
Yeah.
that's like dual 2,300 pound or 3,200 pound axles on that thing. Just completely maxed out the torsions. Like we're riding on the sidewall of the tire, and then like we're blowing out wheel bearings, brakes, everything left and right. And it's just like obviously like try to bring as much stuff as possible, but like at a certain point we're like, okay, we're just getting reckless with this whole situation.
Yeah,
so like like I said, things improve. Like okay, now we can bring a van and we can bring a truck and we bring the trailer and we can kind of piece everything out to make it a little bit more reliable. Make sure we actually make it to the events.
Okay, so it's funny that you mentioned Adam bringing it. I did want to get into that. So how did that come into play? When did that start happening where he wanted to buy it? Or
Adam had like intentions of like doing more to expand, like aside from just doing his YouTube stuff, which obviously like is his bread and butter. And he wanted to get involved with something like which is more drift community involved and stuff like that. So he knew like us like from the drift weeks and stuff. We had driven with him previously and stuff like that, and like being there for everybody. And like we had a good reputation in the drift community, you know what I mean? Like there's a lot of companies out there that don't have a good reputation, for like helping drivers out and stuff like that. That might not necessarily be like sponsorships, but like, going the extra mile to find stuff for you and stuff like that. So I don't know. I went up there and I did some work for Colette's Corvette. Like before, like I don't watch YouTube like that. Like I didn't know who Colette was. I didn't know who Adam was. They bought some like dual caliper brackets, an FDF angle kit, some hydro, some seats.
You got told he had to go
that.
Install stuff.
Yeah, they're like, oh, can you go up there and just like help them with the install and stuff because she has an event she needs to make or whatever the situation was. And so I went there and then I came back and then like Duarte was telling me, he's like, do you know who the guy was that you were working with, the people you were working with? I was just like, I have no idea. Like people, he had a lot of sweet cars in the shop. He had like his R34 in there and like, a couple of like the chasers and stuff.
In the world.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I'm a car enthusiast. Obviously, at the end of the day, I'm a car enthusiast. So like I appreciated the dude's collection, but I had no idea who the guy was.
That's crazy.
And then like it came back like, a few weeks later that like, Adam was talking about like, possibly buying the business. And like, I didn't know like the logistics of it or like how anything like really broke down from it. But I was just like, okay, like, so are we moving? Like, what are we doing here?
Am I employed?
And then they're like, are we going with you? Like, what's going on here? Like, is he just buying out the business and we don't have jobs or anything? He's like, no, we're all going up there. Like, the salespeople, the mechanics, like, you guys are going to keep doing the YouTube thing and, like, all that stuff. It's like, we're just going to work out his facility. And when we initially talked about it, he's like, oh, we're going to Orlando. I was like,
no.
And I was like, oh, I don't really like Orlando that much, but whatever, like I could deal with it. We're coming from Fort Myers, which is college town, going to Orlando, which is also a college town. So like population density and like everything like that.
Orlando is a college town?
It is a college town. OSW's in there. That's literally the definition of a college town. Orlando.
Central Florida College.
UCF
is Disney, baby. It's like a little quarter.
Regardless of like the dynamic.
Bro, I lived there my whole life. Sorry.
But the population.
We didn't want it.
I don't want it either. I'm stuck there.
Right, but so.
Go ahead.
But when we first went over there and like, we had our first like tour of like after he got the compound and stuff, which was like his staple to like, continue to expand what he was doing. Because previously he was working at a smaller shop out of the back of like PSI right across from BC Racing and stuff like that. And like now he got this big like playground, like, like the coolest thing ever, like a place you can drift and like, has a bunch of shops in it and this and that. And we're like, okay, so we're going to like have a bigger shop and we're going to have like more access to like testing the cars on property. Because before we were doing like sketchy street pulls, like send one site car out and try and figure it out, and then send another car out. And cops come over, like off-duty cops yelling at us and stuff for like testing cars and whatever. So it's like now we have like this awesome facility to do, which is like obviously a huge like benefit to having any business where you're building like competition cars, having a place to test. We were driving 3 hours to Orlando every single time. Bless you.
Thank you. You're the best.
So yeah, and then when we finally got up there and like saw that it wasn't actually Orlando, like we were out in like the sticks, like we were like northeast, like Mims, Titusville area.
Florida.
Just like, okay, like this is Florida, like this is the swamp, like this is cool.
We can do it.
We can get behind that. Yeah. So like, and then everything kind of continued to escalate, and then things got actually serious, and then like we started boxing everything up and like loading up all our tools and cars, and like we were doing
your broke ass
runs.
finger.
Oh yeah, I got my finger pinched in a tire machine while we were moving. That was real fun.
Show the camera.
Guy.
Look at that.
No, so
Look
like,
at it.
So you know the swing arm on the top of the tire machine that like pivots out to where the actual like duckbill goes into the tire?
Yeah.
So it sits inside like the C channel that has like a big pin in it that allows it to pivot.
You grabbed by there?
So I grabbed it by the C channel. I told the guy that was there, the pallet was there. I was just like, make sure that doesn't swing back and hit me. So I grab it and lean back and I'm looking at the pallet and it just goes And it just split the whole top of my finger, like right down the
finger.
Yeah,
Look at it.
So you see the size difference between the two?
Oh, yeah.
Like it just completely split it. So like all the way from the side of my finger, like
flat.
pushed my fingernail out and everything. It was bad. Like I had to get it all stitched back. Well, whatever. Besides the point. But yeah, we were moving all this stuff
like
up there. I literally had one good hand, so I'm like moving all these like
scars I
better
have
hands.
are on my middle finger as well.
Yeah.
Say they
Oh no.
You want to see my scars?
Yeah, I got lots of battle scars from building cars. I think everybody who's a mechanic does.
Oh my hands are covered, dude.
We all got them. But so with the aren't y'all like the lowest point, I guess, of the compound, because y'all got it seems like
we got the flood.
Yeah, we're at the flood zone.
While it sucks that we were the lowest point of the compound, but like mind you, like there's so many different things that run out of there, like Adams Merch and distribution, and then like Drift HQ's like whole shipping facility and stocking room.
I'm sure the camera doesn't just see on
exactly. And then there's so much more that goes on. It's like everybody sees it and they're like, oh, it must be so cool to work at the compound. Like everybody just drifts all day and has fun. It's just like, no, realistically, like everybody there has a regular job, whether it be like shipping and distribution or like mechanics or like, and then Adam has his whole side of everything where he obviously has his distribution and stuff as well, but he has his shop. And our shop is like all the way, like to walk from our shop to Adam's shop is like a 10-minute walk.
Mile.
It's like a 10-minute walk to walk over there. So we all have these little electric scooters that we like ride around the whole compound.
Scoot everywhere.
But it's a cool dynamic though, because like we are just like so far separated from everybody that like we just do our own thing. Like we don't deal with like, the dyno room or the paint booths or the powder coating or the shipping or anything like that. We were like in our own little corner of the city there. Like, we just do our own thing. We play music, build cars, and like just have fun and like do our own thing. So like while we are like in that little low point corner in the compound that is the most notorious for flooding, because it's closest to the street where like all the drainage ditches and stuff are as well. So like where we are is not ideal, but it's great for what we do. So we just kind of do our own thing. Yeah. It's like, but it's also a huge benefit because I hop on the scooter and be like, oh, I need this gasket or this tie rod or this or that. And I just go right over to Drift HQ, grab the part off the shelf and take it back, write it off and put it on the computer. And then we continue banging. It's like, we're not waiting for
work here.
Yeah.
You work here?
Yeah. And we always go over like, mess with the salespeople and stuff like that too. Like it's fun time. Like everybody there gets
I show up to work early every morning just to fuck with people.
Yeah.
Straight up.
It's on the agenda.
That's awesome.
I come up an hour early because the time frame for me when I leave later it takes longer. So I might as well just leave earlier and just go fuck with people.
Yeah.
Even when he lived closer, he was there an hour.
I was still an hour early, scooting around like, hey, what you doing? Yeah. Like, I'm not on the clock. I'm going to fuck with people. Why not?
Because the salespeople do come in an hour before we do, so they're already like in their like place, and then we just come in there and throw off the whole dynamic.
Start talking shit to everyone. It's great.
We screw everything up.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, let's put a monkey wrench in there.
I want to say hi to everyone.
Yeah.
Like, hey, how you doing? What are you doing?
Cricket is the friendliest. Like he's super friendly.
Try to be.
So since y'all do get like flooded so much, like it seems
we
like
don't get flooded
every year.
It was a hurricane.
Or I guess the hurricane.
So there was one hurricane, and there's a river and a lake right behind where the compound is, and there's a levee that has a certain like threshold. And what happens is when everything floods, everybody like pumps their water out of their property into like the main drainage areas.
Yeah.
And after it was like the hurricane came through, we had like 2 inches of water in the shop. Wasn't no big deal. We weren't even thinking about it.
We pushed it out. We're
Yeah,
like,
we swept everything out. We were fine. We weren't even thinking about moving the cars, the tire machine, or anything like that. Because we just like, we weren't anticipating that it was going to get as crazy as it was. But because everybody was pumping their water into the main drainage areas, the levee on the dam or on the river overflowed. And that's what flooded out like all of Mims.
Backflowed.
And so while the day after the hurricane, we only had, a couple inches of water in the shop, then like 3 days after that, there's 2 feet of water in the shop. Like it was like over my rain boots, like walking around in there, and we're just like not wondering like
Big catfish, crawfish.
Oh yeah, we were catching all kinds of fish inside the shop. Like
we
just
had all sorts
around
of shit in
there.
our shop. It was bad.
Did anything like big get ruined at all, or was it all?
No, we were
safe?
smart. We
Only my drift car,
Only yours?
his.
But I mean, we've really been hit with like all of like the random plagues at the compound. Like initially, like we had the fire that was there, so we like evacuated with all the cars. Like we had mandatory evacuation. We had to leave there because from the lightning storms and stuff. There's a big brush fire.
Yeah.
And then after that, we got the flood, and now we have like this crazy infestation of crickets that are everywhere.
Your
that
boy.
guy.
There's one of them.
Yeah.
But like it's wild because like it's just like we're hitting all the like benchmarks here. We got the fire, we got the water, we got the bugs. Like,
You guys are also getting all the job titles. You guys have all been firefighters. You guys have been like first responder, flood responders.
That's right.
You guys were also all taxiing like all the cars out.
oh, that was actually a pretty cool day. Like there's
Yeah,
a little
holy
restaurant
shit.
right around the corner from the compound. It's this little like airboat drop area, and like they have a huge parking lot over there because everybody parks the airboat trailers there.
Yeah.
So like when the fire came through, it's just like this flock. Like they had the roads blocked off because they weren't letting anybody drive through, and we were all just like ripping around in like all the cool cars.
Oh,
No
Adam has,
license
collection,
plates.
no license plates, no insurance.
But the thing is,
Ripping
he
out
said
R34s.
the policy wasn't like take the most expensive cars or like the best cars or anything like that. It said take the cars that are going to be hardest to get insurance claims on. Because if this thing burns down, like writing off like the R34 or something like that, there's not a chance in hell insurance is going to pay you what the car's worth.
So like my car stayed, Chris' car
yeah,
stayed,
my car stayed.
all Duarte's cars
Even my daily
stayed.
driver stayed over
Like,
there
we
while this whole
stayed
bitch was
there.
burning.
All of them there.
If you're already not following these two, you should absolutely follow them on their Instagram. This guy was literally out there on like the 4-wheeler just spraying water on everything.
He had like a electric water pump hooked up to like a little like faucet, and he was just like cruising around in this little
His story
cage.
was so nonchalant. No, his story was so nonchalant. I'm literally driving to work, and I'm like, dude, oh, compound's on fire. Then the next thing, it's Drift HQ's thing, like, sorry, we're on fire, or like, we're gonna take time to post this. And then the next thing is like my buddy Cricket. And Cricket's like, I'm a firefighter today. And literally, he's just spewing like the smallest amount of water. It looked like he was spitting it out of his mouth, and he's just putting out this little baby brush fire. 10 feet away is like a 5-foot flame, and you're like, what am I watching right now?
It all got
Doing the
real like,
least.
really quick too, because it was just like, oh, the woods are on fire. Oh well, the woods across the street are on fire. Oh, the property is on fire. Okay, time to roll up, boys. Like, let's go. And everything out there is relatively spread out because everybody has like 30 acres out there. Like everybody's, it's a lot of farmland and like people run a lot of businesses and stuff out of their households and stuff. So it's like everybody was like concerned, but like not nearly as concerned as we were because they've been there for long enough. They're like, oh yeah, this happens all the time.
We have 200 cars, so we have to move real quick.
Yeah, the amount of money that can
Which
be
one is
burned
the
up.
right one to move?
Yeah, decisions have to be made.
Eeny, meeny, miny, you can't get insurance. Let's go.
Yeah, keys are in the ignition. Let's go.
Yeah.
A lot of like just like big turbo JZ, like dog box cars, just ripping down.
Evos, a lot of right-hand drive Evos.
Yeah. Like he's got all those like cool like Evo 5s and like Evo 6s and stuff. Like he's just like ripping down the block and nobody was like
I bet that was kind of cool.
nobody was driving
It's a
softly.
cool
either.
experience.
Nobody was driving softly. Like they were all getting after it.
Everybody's
It's like
just
whatever. Like
stomping
we're
on
gonna go.
It's one thing seeing the cars in the collection, which if you ever get a chance to ever see that room, it's awe dropping. It's insane. The first time I saw it,
yeah.
What is
Like
this?
we work there every
as
day.
big
We're
as it
still
is on
going
the down the road.
But then you see collector cars that you only see at like Mecum auction and stuff like that, like preserved stationary.
Yeah.
And then I see my
Ripping down
buddies,
the road.
while driving and filming like. And you're just like, what is? There's a fire. There's firefighters right next to you.
Oh yeah. Don,
I
Donnie
told
was
him on
over
one
there.
of them, like, yo, this thing's fucked up. It's making weird noises. Like, no, drive it harder.
It's a Samsona sequential. You gotta really work at it.
really
It's gonna make some
work
crazy
at it.
noise.
Like to be
2085,
abused,
it
you know,
needs-
just
Yeah,
get it.
I'm like
Bravo.
driving. He's like, drive harder.
Yeah.
It's like, ha.
Yeah, Donnie's trying to figure out how to put like the Samsonas in reverse inside of Adam's Barra. What is
Mustang,
it?
the
GT350. He's trying to figure out how to like put it in reverse and stuff like that. So
Over
everybody's
and up.
leaving. They're like, how do I get this thing out of here? I'm like, we just like pushed it in reverse and then he put it in drive and just pulled it out. So we didn't know how to put the damn thing in reverse.
Yeah, nobody tells us, like, get it out of here.
Well, you don't realize that is a button on the top.
Yeah, it's got a little lever. I mean, I know that
There's the
now.
lever or there's the button. The button one always messes me up because it just looks at the top. of
Nobody
the
tells us this shit.
Yeah,
I was just unloading it from the wedge. Nobody told me.
Oh, no,
too fancy
that's just
for
the
me.
reverse lockout. That's different.
Yeah.
Those the sequential transmissions, like you can't even just be like, put it in gear. You got to be like, like really just jab that thing in
Shit's
gear.
on
otherwise
fire.
it's-
Like, great. I want to blow this up right before I take it out of here.
it's just got to get far enough down the road to not, burn down.
It's gonna be okay. Everything's fine.
How many times have y'all had to do that?
Only
once.
Just once?
Only once.
Okay. Because I know Adam had a scare, but that was before Drift HQ was there, wasn't it?
Yeah, apparently like the fires and stuff over there happen a lot from lightning storms because it's like a pretty prominent area for like lightning strikes and stuff because there's a lot of like natural wildlife like trees and everything like that out there. But this is our first time that
lightning
we dealt
will
with
strike
it.
and it'll stay like
Crazy.
30 days.
Yeah, it'll just be like a little ember inside of a tree, and then one day it's just like,
It
and then boom, everything catches on fire.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't even have to be a lightning storm that's recent. Like it could just smolder for like a week, and then all of a
Sit in
sudden
the tree
it's
and
on
then
fire.
boom, the tree explodes.
It's gotten to the point where like anytime somebody smells smoke, we have like a big group chat for the compounds. Like, does anybody smell that? Like, yeah, we'll pop a drone up in the air and like fly it around and trying to find where the smoke's coming from. Like, oh, it's like 3 miles back that way, but the wind's going
We're
the opposite
good.
direction. We're fine. Like, it's like a whole protocol at this point. It's like pop a drone
You
up and
got
tell us
all
what's
set up
going on.
for it.
Smokey Bear chat. You're like, all right.
Yeah,
It was like 2 weeks ago. They had one like a mile away.
yeah.
It's like, oh my god,
And
oh my god.
yeah, Mike was up there with the drone. He's like, the wind looks like it's shifting. I'm like, don't say that. I'm like, just
The rain
it's far
came.
away. Yeah,
Rain
and then the
came and it was-
sometimes you're just so happy to see rain. You're like, yes, this is what we need.
We needed it.
Yeah.
Yeah, my whole dad's side's from Arizona, so the whole fires situation.
Yeah. They're used to it.
I've heard a lot of those stories.
Yeah, I can only
thank you.
imagine.
Normally it just starts with some dumbass flicking a cigarette out the window.
Right.
but-
Yeah, amen.
For the Great Chipmunk Fire of 87.
All right, well, we'll wrap it up with best piece of advice you'd give to anyone just getting into drifting.
Getting into drifting, don't overbuild your car. You're going to spend more time building your car than you will driving it, and that defeats the purpose. You'll become a better driver by having seat time than you will by driving a fast car.
Stock 350Z, welded diff,
E46s,
or E46s.
E36s.
I was gonna say,
Miatas.
you really. The thing about a Miata is you come out an insane drive. Like your driving ability is above. Like,
If you can drift a Miata in second
Yeah,
gear,
you can
a
drift
1.6
anything.
Miata in second gear, you can drift damn near
First off,
anything.
get into third gear. What's up? Get into third gear to chase.
In the rain?
Huh? Yeah.
In the rain.
100% in the rain.
Can't do it otherwise, you know?
Yeah.
No, seat time 100%. Don't overbuild your car. It's literally gonna be the same thing.
And I'm so guilty of overbuilding all of my cars because
Cricket's not the fault.
I feel like I need to like,
fault.
make a point. You know what I mean? Like
My
I work for
fault.
Drift
I
HQ.
feel you.
I build race cars for a living. Like I gotta have a
will
cool
not do
race
any
car.
fabrication work for him unless it is.
Overbuild.
the biggest thing was
What the fuck are we doing here?
Yeah.
You know, like you want
Not
to
driving.
see.
That's what we're doing.
Not driving. That's-
Dude, my car looked ugly.
You want
and I was
to see him
driving.
build some mediocre bullshit drift car, or you want to see him do something?
But that's why my seat time car was like the best thing ever because like yeah, I'm building this car over here, but I have a seat time car.
Hiding.
And the best thing you can do is like go buy 2 E46s. One that you're going to build all spicy and one that you're just going to drive.
Yep.
That way this car, you recognize all of the flaws, whether it be power, angle, you know, gear ratios, whatever it might be with this car, and you adapt it to this car, but you're still able to drive this car while you're fixing it with that car. It's like, I mean, given not everybody has the budget to buy 2 cars, but you know, sometimes you find some of them crazy crackhead Facebook Marketplace deals.
$1,000 drift car.
That's what I did.
Like I bought
$600
from
E.
I'm telling you.
Dude, I got a $700 Z.
Hell yeah. Had a blown motor, just
Yeah.
came
Blown
with a motor.
motor. Yep.
And
Now
that one
anybody
had
with
a
a
rod
DE
knob, so
Now anybody with a DE with coilovers wants $10,000 for their car. Stop doing
it's
that.
absurd.
You're not
Cut
cool.
your shit out.
You're not cool in the least bit.
Yeah. The price
First
of cars
$4,000,
is expensive.
okay? I bought a drift car for $1,000.
Show me any other 04 Nissan that's worth $10,000. I'll wait.
But dude, I've got the GK Tech add-on knuckles. Like it's got
Is that Boothie?
Booth is a pro killer.
You want to get Booth in the booth.
Yeah, you want to get Booth in the
Yo,
booth.
Booth, come on in the
Worth
booth.
So they had this
Hang
whole
on a
like
little
meme that
longer.
they made.
He's in Jersey.
Yeah,
No, it's right here.
He's here now.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Pulled up.
But no, they had this whole meme
that could
that they
also be
put
what's his
together
name.
that was like all the people he beat, like Josiah and Chelsea and all these other
Adam.
people. And it was like a picture of like Abraham Lincoln getting shot by like, you know, John Wilkes Booth, but it said Sean Wilkes Booth. And it was just like Chelsea DeNova, Adam LZ, and like all of the people that he...
Dirks.
Yeah, and like everybody
Dirks.
that he had beat, like Dirk Stratton and all the guys that he had beat through the
Sean
whole like
Wilkes
clutch kick
Booth.
pursuit. And he was just out there just like, bop. It was such a good meme that came
He's all
through.
shit. Dude, he's a crazy driver.
He's
Yeah.
insane.
And the thing is like...
We can
our
shout
RVs
anybody out? Booth.
Yeah.
Booth.
The thing is, like,
That
our
was the
RBs
next-
are the most,
the
like,
next thing.
typically
Booth.
unreliable motors. And, like, he's had, like, a stock RB25, and that car just beat the
Forever.
dog shit out
No,
of it.
it's built. It's built. Fuck you.
No, he
Built.
blew up the built motor. And then he put the stock motor back in it.
No way.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Don't
And that
let
thing's
the
running like
JDM magic
500
out.
horsepower.
Get him back
getting the
in
shit
here.
out of
It's
it.
worth.
And not
it's
just
worth
that,
He
it's
deserves his own
RB25
podcast.
transmission and still fucking holding all of the shit that he puts it through. Like he drives the dog shit out of that car.
Yeah.
It's wild how much that car has been through.
I love
And
it.
it's still-
Helmet not
I love
strapped
it.
either.
And I love the way he
Like,
drives it.
it's like-
There's
yeah.
no reason that car should be as fast as it is. But it is. Just because the way he drives it. That boy's a monster.
yeah.
He gets it.
That's another thing. Literally,
Well,
low power
let us
cars
know
are
if you
lower
want
power
him to
cars.
have his own podcast.
He needs his own podcast.
He needs his own podcast.
He needs
Look at the
his own-
camera. Tell him he needs his own podcast.
Booth, you need
Booth, you need your own
Sweet
podcast.
Booth. You need it.
You also might not be able to get out now that Booth's here.
Yeah, you're stuck.
Oh,
you're
sorry,
stuck.
buddy.
Oh,
We got
The couch is real
beds
nice.
down there. Yeah.
Shucks, the couch
You're
is
sleeping
real
on the couch,
nice.
bro.
RB runs fine.
I call
We'll
it
get him
well.
to move.
Oh yeah.
Great cuddler.
Listen.
All right. Well, if you want, if you plug yourself, plug your people.
Yeah, Drift HQ. I'm MagicMan.HQ, Cricket.HQ.
Cricket.HQ.
And that's
Dustin.Motors.
No, it's just Dustin Motors.
Dustin Motors.
Yeah, if you guys aren't already following all of this, you guys should follow every person that comes on every podcast. Think about it. It literally costs nothing. It costs nothing. I guarantee you're gonna see better content this way.
and watch our YouTube channel. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
We do cool stuff and we go to events and
Leave us a
figure it
comment.
out. I'll tell you all the text.
Booth!
I'll make you laugh.
Talk shit.
Talk shit. Good.
Yeah.
Hold on. Boothy's coming.
Booth.
Booth.
He wants to go out and chill.
Yeah, he ain't coming.
He ain't
All
coming.
right. Well, that's pretty much it for this one, I guess. I really appreciate y'all coming
Yeah,
on.
man. Appreciate you coming out to the woods out here in Georgia.
Up this
Dude, this is
shady
actually a really
road.
cool drive.
Yeah,
no, it's dope out here, man. It's a good
Yeah,
time.
it's super nice.
Atlanta always.
Dahlonega.
You know.
Dahlonega.
You're out there in Atlanta, right?
Dahlonega.
I'm from
Dahlonega.
Tennessee.
Tennessee. What part?
Basically,
The Smoky
an
Mountains.
hour south of Nashville.
Okay.
Did you bring some whiskey? Did you bring some good stuff?
No.
My
Dude,
parents
these-
actually live in Bluff City, just outside of Bristol.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
I love it out there, man.
Yeah,
It's so
Tennessee's
laid back.
nice.
Oh yeah,
I've just been there my whole life. I'm ready to get out.
I hear you.
But
I lived in North Carolina for a long time. It was nice.
oh yeah.
I love the whole area. Appalachia's great.
Georgia's not too far of a span for you. Then you're used to all this out here. Then the woods.
I was just out here for Dustin's podcast and
For whose?
Dustin Mile.
Oh, that's Miles. I was like, huh? Me? I was like, I wasn't in the podcast yesterday.
Well, here, I'll close this out real quick. But that is it for this one. I really appreciate it. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button.
I was saying bye to Cricket because he's out of the shot.
See you guys next week. Peace.
They said that I couldn't do it, so I went and did it. W's only, you know I've been winning. Top of the world, the globe is spinning. If you know, you know I've been on a mission. Go. Okay, let's get it. Got a little time on my hands like a wristwatch. I don't got time for the breaks and the pit stop.